of victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern for like 1,070 episodes or something. Something like twice as many episodes as the closest competitor. And we talk about guns for an hour or stuff like about stuff that has to do with guns adjacent often. Anyway, we got Tailgate in here tonight. Thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for the link.
You bet. I didn't send you a link directly. Oh, snap. Somebody bought something. I didn't send you a link directly. Did I? You got it from the Patreon?
Yeah, got it over on the Patreon page.
Right on. So this is going to be a Patreon night. So last night on the show, episode 1069, where we could have been doing all kinds of jokes or whatever, but Bob didn't jump in. The hard drive crashed on me. So I was sitting here farting around minding my business. The hard drive crashed. And that sucked. So anyway, I spent 10 hours. Well, it took 13 hours, but it took a while to figure out what to do. And then I initiated something that took 10 hours to try to repair this drive. So we'll chat more about that in a minute. But anyway, that happened last night. So we'll probably spend today chatting with Patreons who've been chatting over here on the Patreon about it. And we'll do the Free Patch Friday stuff and some giveaways for people that bought stuff over at the store. And it sounds like somebody just bought something, so thanks for that. There's a little noise that happens. I use a shopping cart. When I put the shopping cart app on my phone, it gives me the option to let that noise happen. And that indicates somebody bought something. So thanks for that. Somebody buying a cartoon over at the store. One of the 2A cartoons. Normally I'd say I already got that guy. I already drew that guy. However, I did draw that guy, and now I don't have that image anymore, so I got to redraw that guy. So I guess I have to turn on a bunch of those ones that were already off for people being able to sponsor some of those cartoons. Anyhow, so appreciate anybody that wants to buy stuff from the store. I just got a thing from the mortgage. I'm kind of in I don't know how everybody else is doing on their mortgage thing, where I don't have enough to pay the whole mortgage, but they won't accept anything but like what I owe them, like the late due or whatever, which is like $500. I got $300. I can't give them $300. I can't call them because they're swamped. So the phone tree goes to like, hey, go to the internet, go to the web. So trying to get a couple $100 to pay them the $500 so that I can be square with them. Anyway, I'm on one of these deals where you don't pay for 3 months, but you really should be paying because you're going to have to owe them 3 months worth at the end somehow. So that's what I'm trying to do is pay bills, right? So that's why we do the Free Patch Friday in the first place. But we're going to offer some incentives to try to get some purchases in there. So with only 2 people watching, I probably won't get any sales tonight. But we'll see if people do buy stuff. That little bell will go off, and I'll appreciate it. And we'll put you in the run, and we'll do the drawing for that at the end. So I posted a couple of videos on YouTube earlier. For the longest time, there was only 2 people that had purchased anything, or 3 people that had purchased anything. Until recently, and now I think that makes it 5 people that purchased something today. I'll go count here in a bit. But there's 2 different packages, like of these new stickers that we made that I think are going to be pretty good. So you guys will be the test run. So you guys pretty much, I think, all bought them. You all get a bunch of extras. I'm not good at it, so there's a whole bunch of like blemishes, we'll call them, where the printer just didn't look good. It's like a big weird thing with big splotch right in their nutsack or something. So it would just be not the best one to send out there as like a purchased thing, but I can give them to you for free. So you'll get all kinds of extra ones to see what they're like, and then stick them on stuff, see how they work. Be what's the word? Beta testers for me, and stick them on stuff to see how they last. Pretty sure they're going to be better than anything you get from Allen Anchor. Probably put her out of business, which is sad, but that's how it is. Capitalism.
Yeah, I picked up the button kit over there on the site today because I got a little like lampshade that I hang on my 2A and all my little buttons and pins on. So I figured those would look cool on there.
I wasn't sure how you did that or what you did with them. All right, thanks for
And then I bought a shirt, but now it sent me to another site. Does that still go through you? I bought one of the G Web emblem shirts, the gun website emblem or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's something that's only ever come up once before. The store is the store where I have stuff and I send it out. And then there's the shirt thing. And the shirt thing is from the store, it goes to Spreadshirt, which is, what do you call it? Like a print on demand type of place. Like they have just a bunch of blank shirts, all different kinds of styles and colors. You pick something with the design of whoever, and then that initiates the robots to take the shirt and unfold it and print whatever on it and then fold it back up and send it to you. So that makes it real cost efficient and everything. But it's just a different process. So that goes through a thing, and then I think I have them all set up to $5. There's different ways you can set up those print on demands. Typically, people will just set like a price, like $5, $2, $10, whatever they want to try to use to create income from it or revenue from it. They'll give you like a base model. The shirt costs $12. If you're going to put a logo on it, it's going to cost $17. It's going to cost whatever to ship. So if you put $5 on it, now it's a $22 shirt. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's something like that. So those, when you buy them over there, we get like a $5 cut, and then that's cool. I mean, we appreciate it. It's like nice to get $5, but I forget what the threshold is. There's some threshold, $65, $35, $100. And then those $5 will add up until they reach that threshold, and then a check will show up. So I don't count that stuff with Free Patch Friday, and only because I don't have any idea it shows up until maybe 6 months later. There's just no way to know what day or anything. But on the other hand, if you bought something, I mean, what do I care? So if you want to, whatever, for doing stuff like free patches and stuff, you're definitely welcome to it. So I'm just kind of explaining all that. One, so that you know to just chime in. So if there's nothing, I don't know until months later. But also, if somebody's creating content, it's a great way to get a good quality piece of, shirt or whatever, hat, I don't know what to call that kind of stuff, clothing, apparel, I guess, out there with your logo on it that's well made without having to do like a batch of them. And that's the worst thing about clothing. I never really did clothing ever, but I've known stores, gun shops over the years that have tried to do clothing. And that's a tough one because you got to buy so many mediums and so many larges and so many extra larges. And then maybe your customers are fat or skinny or something, or girls, or they like blue or whatever it is. And whatever you buy, you have to figure it out. That print on demand eliminates all that. You just tell it, I want this design, and sometimes you can say, I only want it on a white shirt, or I only want it on a tank top. But most people just say, here's the design, let the customer put it on whatever they want. And then you can say, I want it on gym shoes, or I want it on a hat or something. Anyway, so that,
it gets hard to find stuff for me sometimes because I'm a 3X. Now I had an Every Second Matters shirt, and it was a 4X because that was before I lost 120 pounds. So I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine because it just swallowed me now. So now I'm going to order a new Every Second Matters shirt. I'd like to find one. I don't know what the color combos are because I'm an orange and black guy. I mean, you've seen that. I'd like to have like a black shirt with an orange Every Second Matters. I think that'd be really cool.
I might have, when you put the design up on one of them print on demands, you'll put the design up typically either as a JPEG image or something, or as like just text in their system. So if it's text in their system, if I type in Every Second Matters or whatever, then it might be some WYSIWYG editor. It might be something that lets you decide, I want it to be blue writing on a yellow shirt or whatever, orange and black. But two things, because we wanted the logo to look right, they don't have the right fonts or anything, and they wouldn't care if you just wrote every 2ND and then matters. They don't care if it's formatted right to look like our logo, right? So we wanted that to happen. So we put it up there as an image. And when we did that, we have to choose, it's an image, it's one image. So that means it's one color. It doesn't change colors. So if we posted it as white, then it's white. I probably, with the Every Second Matters, posted one as white and one as black, because obviously if you have it on a white shirt or a black shirt, you need the other one. And then pink and green is kind of up to people. Some people are going to want it one way or the other to like stand out or to be kind of subtle. So I don't remember. It's just been so long since I set it up at Spreadshirt. So Spreadshirt's a good one. They're made in Henderson. So they make them in France and Henderson and someplace else. So they're worldwide. But if you buy it from the United States, it'll come out of Henderson. And whenever we first set them up, there was a lot of everybody, too many cooks in the stew or whatever it's called. So everybody had to test everybody's shirts, and I think we went through at least 2 or 3 of the big ones before we ended up with nobody cared anymore, and I just went back to Spreadshirt basically. But I never had any complaints as long as they got the good logo up there. There was a problem in the beginning because we had a bad logo up there. It had like an extra line in it. As long as we put the correct logo up there and not a bad image, then the quality of the shirts have been fine. So hopefully it'll be a good shirt for you. And as far as the size, I'm a big fat guy, so I never put stuff up there that's only in the small sizes. There's a couple of people that wanted us to do that because the small, like the fanciest quality shirts only go up to like 2XL because they figure fat people don't get to wear quality clothes. So they wanted us to leave it like that. And I'm like, fuck that, I'm not going to do that. And the only way you can get to like 5X or something is to go with the Jethro brand or whatever. But anyway, they usually go with whatever, some best of both worlds, whatever is the best quality I can find that goes up to like 5X. Usually the places will go to 5. They don't really go to 6 very often. But then with all that being
Like
said,
I said, the last one was a 4X, and it was a great.
I'd keep it.
Yeah. It was a good shirt. The last one I had, it was just
whenever you change weights or whatever like that, I say keep it, because then if you're going to put on like a coat or armor or something, or just something else on, then you've got another shirt on that you can put on top of it that doesn't look weird. Like it doesn't look like you're a fat guy in a little shirt. And if you needed to, like let's say go outside because it's like right now and you don't know what's going on, but you just heard a whole bunch of commotion and you got a soft armor, you don't want to go out there like the guy from that one TV show with soft armor on the outside of your clothes. But if you can put that soft armor on and then put a giant shirt on top of it, and you just look like somebody who's wearing shirt out of the laundry or whatever, you're just doing laundry and you threw something on your brother-in-law, that's a lot less conspicuous. So I always say keep your big fat clothes if you get skinny. I don't know about the other way around.
Well, usually when I hear a bump in the night, I go right for the tiger suit because what's scarier than a huge tiger coming out the door? That usually works.
Easy to identify. Unless a whole bunch of people do that, and it's like pretty much the only guy out there. I think I got Dead Horse link out there, but thanks for the thumb. I do the same thing whenever I join into a chat, let people know you're there, and remind people about the whole thumb thing. So anyway, we got Barbecue jumping in here. I didn't even say welcome. You jumped in and out before. But you might...
Howdy.
Thanks for jumping in. So like I say, I got the link over there on Patreon. We just kind of been farting around here. It looks like it says only 5 people are in here. I don't know if that's true or not. But I think at first I was going to dig around because I looked around with the Gear website store today. I figured, why not? Since I just dropped 3 months worth of data, I might as well change my store around. So we're looking at it on the screen, I think now. Yeah, and it's over on the right side here. So I just made a different template. Basically, you just go in there and use different store template, and it used to kind of be from the top, and there was a big long thing you scroll down, and now it's just this. It's it. Got a couple of different pictures in here. Put the new stickers in the front. Have the cards. Because you don't really think of us as a patch place. We got a lot more than just patches, and it's not going to just be patches ever. It's never just been patches, and it won't be. So we kind of get stuck as a patch place. But I got the other stuff in the front there just to keep that. But otherwise, it's just all the go in and look at stuff by collection, I guess, or by what it is. And then I got collectibles here, which I'm debating if I should even leave there. So anyway, if you're interested, it gets you dig right in. As soon as you click on something, it just brings it right up. I went through, I don't know if people were in there earlier today. I didn't even realize I didn't have the targets. I had them in the store, but I didn't put a quantity in there. So I don't think they were even showing up. So I don't think anybody's even had a chance to buy any of these yet. But it's a pretty decent deal. You get a whole pile of them. And we'll see. I'm hoping that Foos or somebody grabs a couple. Maybe I'll just send them some. to see if they're any good for dry practice, because I made them in kind of different sizes, but no rhyme or reason. Mainly how many would fit on a piece of paper, not like, what size it should be at 27 yards or anything like that. Anyway, hopefully it's easier to navigate a little bit, or a little more fast to navigate. And then I got the little sale things only on the stuff that's actually in stock. Like I leave the stuff that's sold out up there for a reason, because I'm proud of our shit. All of our stuff is legit. It's either like inside jokes from gun channels or conversations like this, or like Brace This was in 2015, the Friday night before SHOT Show. We're all sitting around minding our business, having a conversation like this. 2015 was before the Daily Gun Show, but we were having some kind of a Friday night conversation, probably an Edge's chat or something like that, or some show that was better right before Edge's show. And ATF drops a memorandum on the world at 5 p.m. on Friday night, as everyone's getting on airplanes to go to SHOT Show, that the SIG brace is now a felony to shoulder. So like when we made that, we made that patch up that Saturday. We had a long show, and then we got up the next morning and had a show. So I think that's cool. That represents a big chunk of resistance. That was 2015, about a year after, the people kind of took a breath and were kind of let the stress or the tension go from the Obama's thing. We had just won Obama's thing, and here they are stepping right back up again. And it was frustrating, because there was less we could do to that one. That wasn't Obama getting up and pounding his chest. That was just a real subtle razor slice to the jugular right before the industry trade show, like as everyone is literally in transit. So that was interesting. So that's the kind of stuff. Arizona Citizens Defense League, we did 500 patches for them. I forget how many years ago now. We're actually building the next set of them. So we finally sold they finally sold 500 patches. I don't remember how much I charged them. I don't charge them anything. I build these patches for us so that I can get a good deal when I go to China or wherever to get them. And then when AZCDL needs them, they're getting them at my rate. And I don't get them as good a rate as like Angelina, but I get them decent rate, and I don't charge them a dime. So whatever it costs me is what it costs them. So we've got 500 of these out there. So that's why I leave these sold out things, just because that's our history or whatever. And whatever, some of these won't never happen again. Some of them will. Some of these, those ones that we were sewing are now stickers. So anyway, that's why there's sold out stuff is in there. It might be frustrating, but I hopefully went through and got rid of all the extraneous shit. So there's no like sale item on something that's sold out. If it is, it's something like the Daily Gun Show only had one today. One of y'all bought it. So it went from, being in stock to not being in stock like 4 minutes after I posted it. But anyway, you can dig through, look at stuff through collections or through like what they are, like stickers or patches. Did I interrupt somebody there?
Well, I just have a question. Like when I was on the store earlier, like you said, it has all the sold out stuff and everything, and that's cool. What would be cool though, is it possible to make like a filter to where you can filter to just things that are available? Like if somebody just wants to look at the stuff that is currently available?
Because I took the filter off as I've been trying to sort this. I just barely figured out why it wasn't sorting good. Half the time I'd go through here and I would click on like the stickers, right? I just added all these stickers and it kept sorting backwards. It kept showing the old stuff first. So I finally figured out how to do that. So I took off the filter that you're talking about. You can sort them over here. But what I do is I have them sorted alphabetically, and then I write sold out in the name, and there's nothing that's named with something over an S. So I know how it was, earlier this morning, even as you were navigating the store, it was just random. It would be like something in stock, something out of stock, something in stock, and it was frustrating. Now, as soon as you see sold out, everything after that is sold out. So as you navigate the new store or the new layout, everything that's available will be at the front. As soon as you see sold out in the list, it's like a real store. Like everything after that will be sold out also. So it looks like
That's
everything.
perfect. Yeah, that's what I was going at. Yeah, because I must have been on it earlier before you did that. Yeah, like you said, it would be jumbled around. You would stuff in stock and then sold out and then in stock. Yeah, the way you have it set up now, yeah, that'll work.
It was kind of shitty before. You had to really know what you were looking for, and that was not helping nothing. And then as soon as I put it on this new one, I was like, well, now it's, now it's obvious that it's all messed up. So I've been playing with it for hours here to get it all straightened up. There might be a few random things that I didn't find because there is still, I don't know, I might clean it up a little bit. I also added this. So for $7.62, you can gift your order. You just choose who you want to gift it to. So you can gift it to Tony Simon, to Gary, Clover, Spotted Rick, which is Rick, Travis. You can go to the Gun Tube, Gun Streamer, who never shows up, but you can give it to him anyway. Yankee or Matt. Or if you want to send it to somebody else too, but I figured I'd put all them in the list. I know all them. I think they'll take something. And then that way that pays for shipping and however long it takes me to go email them and say, hey, you got a whatever. So if whatever you might pick, add this to your purchase and then pick who you want it to go to. And then you just let me know if you want to be, anonymous or not. And then we'll take care of it from there. And then that way they can go do whatever they want to do. And we can just ship it right from here. And we'll put something maybe in there that, well, I used to have this artwork where the hard drive crashed. I used to have this artwork and I would have just printed this artwork. But I do have the artwork. I can right click that and just pull it back down. But I'll put something in the envelope to say like this came from so-and-so. And we'll see if that works for people. And that's just under products. But I'm thinking about killing collectibles because that just goes to eBay and it's this awkward link thing. Unless I can get eBay to display here, I might get rid of collectibles and replace it with gifts so the gift is just right in the main menu for people. Because that would help us out. It would help us sell stuff, obviously. And then it would, if people don't want to accumulate a bunch of knick-knack crap, we're not selling stuff that's saving lives or anything. If you don't want to accumulate that, then you can, let it go on to somebody to help their show out or whatever. All right, with that, I'll quit plugging the shop. I know a couple of people did order stuff while we've been chatting here, so appreciate that. Like I said, there's a couple of videos out there to show them, but playing with the printer and printing off the rough drafts or whatever, the color drafts of the books that I've been writing, kind of got the hang of this printer, more importantly, refilling those ink cartridges. And once you got free ink, you can print whatever the fuck you want. I got all the paper in the world. I bought a couple of things of different size paper. So I'm definitely set up to start printing stuff. Anyway, so I figured out if I use the stuff that you used for decals, that it makes a sticker, kind of. And like I said, the people that bought them, hopefully you're not getting ripped off. I think they ended up being $13. That gives me $3 for shipping it to you. I'll ship it to you in a padded envelope. So there's no problem with it getting there. At first, I was thinking I would stick them into an envelope with some stamps, but then they're not tracked and they're kind of heavy. So I don't want to. We're putting $3 in there to get them shipped to you, and then you're basically throwing $10 at us to keep everything going. And I made enough of these things that, well, we wouldn't have paid the mortgage today, but there's certainly enough of them. So if they work, then hopefully post them on Instagram. People will see that they're clever or something, and then they'll throw down $13 to grab some for themselves. Let's see. So I think with that, I'll quit plugging the shop unless you guys want to say anything, and we can start chatting about the hard drive. Trucker, I know you bought stuff way earlier than I was just saying about the what am I calling them? These the Target ones. I posted them, but I forgot to put a quantity on them, so they were kind of hidden in the back room. And I just noticed as I was cleaning up the store too, like some of these stickers that back in the day I had this dude in Texas helping me with. And then some of them, no, most of these were from that dude in Texas. Turns out he was ripping me off anyway. And then Angelina never has time to do them because she always does them on a deal for me. I can replicate a bunch of my old shitty stickers and do them just as shitty as I used to get them. Except make them here in Tucson. And that dude in Texas is probably coughing on him and stuff. He probably has the Rona. All right,
I got my Rona sticker on my lunchbox.
Hopefully it doesn't cause any problems. Now that one I know will work because Angelina makes them with like real vinyl. She has a printer that costs like tens of thousands of dollars and can print with real inks that are UV, blah, 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 and like can print onto vinyl. And then she lets them degas. And then she puts a UV, what's it call that, like layer on top. So hers are going to stick. I'm pretty sure mine are going to stick, but if they're horrible, we'll talk about getting them replaced or something.
Well, did you make the first batch of the Corona stickers, like the little square ones, kind of the papery filling ones
Yeah,
that you
but
sent out a while back?
that's literally just because I basically was sitting here minding my business and I was sending something to somebody. I'm like, oh, I'm on my last label. I'm going to buy some more labels because I'm thinking I'm ahead of the game. And then I bought like 500 labels. I go to put them on the shelf next to the other 500 labels I just bought. Dang it! I got 1,000 labels for no reason because I don't really need 1,000 labels for anything. 1,000 of them is 2,000 really because there's two on a piece of paper, right? So now I got all these things. So I just was trying to figure out ways to use it, and I think I accidentally stuck one into the color printer, thinking it was a piece of paper. I went, oh snap! It gives me a sticker, and that's when I printed all those Corona ones, those first ones. But I wasn't thinking about it, and then I forgot where it came to me. I went, hey, wait a minute! I think I moved a bunch of stuff, and one of the things I moved was a roll of this. When you cut a decal, you got to have that other piece of tape that picks it up off of your card or the stuff that the decal's on, the piece of paper that the decal's on. You have like that piece of tape that you stick on the window and then you peel that piece of tape away and throw it away. It's like that piece of tape. So I just stuck some clear stuff from that onto the piece of paper and then boom, it turns into a sticker basically. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not going to last through a million rainstorms or anything, but it'll last longer than just a sticker without any kind of piece of plastic on it. All right, so with that, like I say, I've got a bunch of people. What happened to my? Did I close it? Oh, here it is. I had a bunch of people asking or adding to the conversation over on Patreon yesterday. So I posted after I had to cut the show short because I literally lost my drive while we were chatting here, and I wasn't about to, not pay attention to something like that. So once I figured out what went on, I posted on Instagram. I was kind of pissed. I dropped. I don't know how many gigabytes or anything, but I know that it's 3 books, like the Shooter's Almanac. Every file gone. Everything that was the 2A history projects, every part of every cartoon gone. All those, that folder which is gone. All those there was the folders there. Everything in the folders gone. It was like 3 JPEGs in one subfolder, and then everything looked like a bunch of squares and squiggly lines and shit. So I don't even know what happened, let alone how to pull it all back apart. I ran this scan from some kind of software that took 10 hours to scan the however many terabytes, and it found something like 65,000 pictures and 7,000 videos. It found like a ton of stuff that got corrupted. I have a bunch of stuff on that drive. It's a huge drive. And it was sort of, I would say, like I accumulated a bunch of pictures. I have other most of the stuff on there was no big deal. Like I have it on 2 other drives somewhere else. It's just that on this drive that got ruined, I had a folder called the Gunshot Loophole Tour, and then it had like a folder called 2020, and then a folder called 2019, and a folder called 2018. And I had duplicated all the pictures from all the other drives onto this drive. So it was just an accumulation of all the other drives out there. So I don't think it was anything singular. But what sucks is that took weeks. It took a long time to get that drive set up the way it was. And then it allowed me to do stuff that I've been kind of kicking into gear and doing here. I barely got started on that kind of stuff. But so that's the kick in the ass. It's not so much that I lost a ton of all those files. It's just that I lost the organization and the time. It's like having a whole nice file cabinet all set up that's duplicates, but just wasted a week because it got wet or something, right? Ruined the file cabinet. But I did ruin 3 months, basically this year. So ever since SHOT Show, everything I've created since then is gone. That sucks a lot. That's just gone. That's just lost work. So that's what I'm waiting. I'd used the software it ran. Do you want to come in here with your name and your camera on? Dude who's in the back? So let us know in the side chat if you want to leave your camera on or not, because your camera's on. I think they can hear me in the background. Let's see. So the software that I used for that 10-hour scan will only let you pull 500 freaking megabytes, which is, right, your camera's off. I'll pull you in here. 500 megs is nothing. It's literally nothing. So I ended up just finding a bunch of files that were the books. I think they're, I don't even remember. I don't want to look because I took that hard drive off the system. But if there were 16 book files in there, you know, things that it found that it thinks were files from the Adobe's book software, I picked the largest of them, and I ended up picking like, because that, to fill the 500 megs that it was going to let me pull, I ended up getting like 16 copies of the same book, like versions of the same book. So I do have the Surge's Almanac back, kind of. I don't have any of the pictures, but I have the format and the pages, and that's a shit ton of work. That's a lot of work, actually. So I got the Shooter's Almanac. I think I might be able to get the other two books because I got the Shooter's Almanac. So I'll get like a version of those other two books if I either pay for software or do something else. Get it to a place that can do it, or find somebody that's got software, or run like different brands of free software. Just keep running different kind of software, and just, even though it's only going to give me a nibble each time, just keep taking nibbles off of different free softwares. Like I said, I don't really need everything off of that drive. I just need the fucking books, and I guess it'd be nice to get the 2A history cartoons and shit back. That's a lot of cartoons. All the gun shops and museums and guns and cars and stuff that we've been drawing in these shows, all that's gone.
You lost the Tailgate Tiger originals?
Yeah, probably. I mean, not, well, the original, yeah. The editable version, like the thing that I drew it in, yeah. I have copies of, because I sent it to you in an email, right? So I have the email that I sent to you.
Yeah.
So I think Google. So I have to, coming out of this, I'm going to build my hardware differently, and I'm probably going to explore the, what do we call that thing? The cloud better. I use the cloud now. I only have like a terabyte on the cloud, and it's literally just old backup. I don't even know why I have it. It's just repetitive. It's stuff that I don't care if it gets out on the web because it's already on the web. It's just all the pictures that are on the web anyway, in another big pile that I pay for. I have on the web. I don't know why. So I'm going to use that in a different way. But that's going to be, that's tough. Do you guys put your files on the web? Do you use like those Apple clouds or anything?
Yeah, I think I pay a few dollars a month for terabyte or something of backup storage on the cloud, maybe.
But I mean, do you put stuff that's, editable? Like, I don't know. I just never put like actual stuff that's your, what to call that? Like your actual root files or whatever. Like, I'll put a picture up there, like the finished product with your watermark, sure. But like the picture that, or the editable thing, like that just seems like too raw of stuff to have on the line. But
do you guys use the Google Drive at all? I've had some good luck with that.
Oh yeah, it's just that I've got it full, and it's full of like garbage stupid stuff. It's just, I'd have to spend, I don't know how big it is. It's pretty big. I think it might even be bigger than my Dropbox. It's just that I've had it since I've had Google, so I've had it forever, and it's just, it would take me a week to empty it. I know that when it got mad that it was full before, I went in there and dug around, and I figured out I just had like giant dumb, like I would send somebody something for a project that was maybe a giant raw video or something, and just gigabytes up there for no reason. I found a couple of those to throw away, but it turned out to be just a ton of little tiny files. So instead of just going in there and throwing away folders, I figured I'd have to either buy Google Space or something. And it's just something that rubs me the wrong way about having it with Google. It's convenient. It's nice. I'm not complaining. I've never had any trouble or anything, knock on wood. But it's Google. I'd rather Dropbox or somebody else who's not Google.
Okay.
Maybe I've never talked to Night Strike. I forgot if I gave him a link if he's out there. But I'll bet you Night Strike could do hosting. Never thought about that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good option. He'd probably do it.
I was using Vimeo for a while. Whenever I got sick of, I've been sick of YouTube for a long time. And I thought when we started doing gun channels and stuff, that Vimeo might be this is before Gunstreamer and before GunTube. I knew I didn't want to host videos on gun channels because that would have been a whole nother problem, especially when 2013 when we built it. So Vimeo was an option. We put a Vimeo account up, and from like 13 to 15, they were happy to take the money every month and have a professional account or whatever it was for 30 or 50 bucks a month. But then at some point they got mad and said, oh, what you're doing is a $80 a month account or something. And even though it was because of what I was doing, not how much stuff I had there. That was video hosting, but that's my, that's just, I guess, the taste I have of throughout doing different kind of cloud stuff. But there's no reason. There's tons of places that are more like banks, right? You just have your cloud, they leave you alone, put what you want in there. All right, well, so we got 4 people in here. I don't know if y'all's mics are working or what. If you got anything you want to throw in Patreons. So I was going to say, since y'all Patreons, you can help me make a decision. I don't know how to do this because I don't have like some of these guys will do like a monthly or periodic Patreon meeting or something. But I was going to put something out to the Patreons that I was doing the 2A history project to acquire skill set and to share the knowledge, sharing or whatever the learning of it or the learning curve and the software and the elements of it. I got other things I want to write books about. So my dilemma is, do I go back now and spend time putting back together some of the projects that, like the 2A history stuff, all the activists and all that stuff? I mean, that was a lot of stuff. Go back and rebuild that, or just keep going, in which case that was sort of the plan anyway. But what that means is that the world has none of that. The 2A history stuff, I was going to cut my teeth with or whatever to do all that so that it existed, because I figured once I start doing other stuff, nobody's going to give a shit about 2A activists. Nobody's going to care about how many women's training organizations exist since the 90s. Once I'm talking about AK crap or pistols or something, it's going to turn into all focused on that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm not sure if how to aim going forward, if I should take a second, go back and rebuild, or if I should just keep going. I'm not going to make a decision tonight, but that's something I got to figure out if I should put a poll up for patrons if they want to have input in that. I'm not sure what I want to do. That's where I think I'm at right now, because that's kind of where I'm at. I just got this big crater. Do I go back and fix, or do I just say, keep building?
How much time did you have wrapped up in it before?
I mean, way more time than anybody in their right mind would ever put into it. It's not.
Well, what are the gaps you think you have?
What?
What are you have gaps in the 2A history or the 2A activism, or you need more research?
It's just taken to everything that's happened since maybe SHOT Show or Christmas is when did I buy that drive? Whenever I got that drive, I figured out how to work it and took a copy of everything, and everything I've done since I bought that drive is dead. Doesn't exist. So whatever I happen to take a copy of, I'll have, but that's like rewinding 2 months. I don't remember. I guess I could try to look and see how long ago I posted about that. I'm pretty sure I posted it the day I got it.
I say it's hard to say one way or the other, because that's a lot of hard work that you put in there in the first place. And honestly, I think it ends up being up to you on whether you want to just walk away from it and, like you said, move on, or try and piece it back together.
Well, the thing is, it's sort of like it's not that hard. Those things take me 5 minutes. If I have to draw them all, it just means I got to draw them all again. And I don't know if I need to draw them all. I just have to get them all accumulated again, and then I don't even know. I had so many. What's the way? How do you say? Like so many half-started little projects everywhere. Like I don't even know what I'm missing yet. I don't know the full consequences of it yet. Because I just took that whole hard drive offline. I basically don't even have old pictures. I don't have pictures of anything anymore. So I'm just going with what's on my phone right now. So I don't really know how much I'm missing, but it'll show up whenever I go to grab something. I'll be like, oh dang, I'm missing like all the pieces that I need, and that'll take me, that'll stop progress, I guess, here and there. So that's the thing. I don't know if there's even a way to go back and actually rebuild. That's the thing. It probably takes so much. Like I say, I think the easiest way to describe it is like a big crater happened. Do you start figuring out what all you lost, or do you just fill in the hole and start over? And that's where I guess I'm at. The hard part isn't there isn't nothing hard about it. It just took time. And that's the thing. I just don't know how to allocate the time going forward. If it's, I'm trying to read and talk at the same time, trying to find the damn. I thought I posted about that hard drive.
I know you did. It seems like maybe
Yeah, you did.
January or something. It was on Patreon for sure.
But it's not, I must not have said hard drive in it. That was a really long time ago. Oh, no, it was on the 15th of March. All right, so yeah, I lost like April and half of March. So I know that it's 3 books. That's the main thing. But it's all I don't even know all the stuff I did in between. The thing is like a bunch of them are already up on YouTube. Like let's say if I drew a picture and then turn that into a video about Robin Sandoval or something, that's already done. Like the editable
Yeah,
files
that's
are
what I was going to ask you. How much had already been put out there?
now 60 something videos are already up on YouTube. So that I don't care at all about. Like I lost all the editable stuff. That's annoying, but I don't care. It's just the books really that's the tough part. But like I said, I just don't know how much of the 2A history stuff, all the logos and shit like that, like that's just all just a big crater. So I just have to see when I can go figure out from the old drive. I also got to figure out if it's I don't know what to call this thing, the like docking thing that I use, that thing I could call a toaster. I don't know if that's the problem or if 2 drives just decided to go bad. So either I got a virus and my virus thing can't find it, or my drives just went bad and hurt each other, or it's that dock that they're in. So I don't trust nothing right now. I need to get a new dock and then stick, a hard drive into a new dock and then test it. I don't know. I kind of want to take my drives to somebody I know who does computer work still and put it into their system, where they're used to dealing with drives that are questionable instead of having it in my environment, which was questionable. But anyway, it was the 15th. So I still have to go figure out what's on that other drive before I can really make too much a decision. I might find out that I'm crazy. I might have not done as much stuff as I thought on the 2A history stuff as I'm thinking I might have. I don't know. Like I say, it's tough to know how much is missing still because I was spending most of my time just trying to figure out how to see what was recoverable. Is that the word? Salvageable. And right, well, Chris is saying go back and rebuild. But like I say, I also got to figure out how to throw that out to the patrons too. I haven't done a poll in a while. Maybe I'll stick a poll out there.
Yeah, I'd say do a poll and just see what everyone thinks. My initial thought is just to trudge forward with what you have, just to not stop progress.
It wasn't like it was getting a lot of reaction or like doing anything, It was hoping to get some of these people talking to each other or get people, I don't know, something going, stir something up. And it wasn't really doing anything. So it would, what's the word? It would probably feel good to have the pieces back that I knew were supposed to be there or something. But if that's just for my comfort or something, that's not necessary. Especially if it takes time. What do y'all think? I'm in Arizona where all morning all I hear on the radio is chomping at the bit to end it all. And then if I listen to anything mainstream, national, it's all about, controversy and questions, and there's no correct path. Where are y'all at, and what kind of end light at the end of the tunnel? Is it pinpoint light at the end of an unknown long tunnel, or is it you're a couple of steps from getting out of your tunnels?
They've got us slowly trying to reopen things and move towards. It seems like we're taking a few steps forward and maybe a few steps back because the people that are wanting to reopen are wanting to change the way they operate so much that I think there's going to be some learning curves. I don't think anything's going to be the same for the most part after all this.
Yeah,
Here in
I'm in New Mexico, and they're trying to slowly. They've extended the governor's order for, but is and some of the government comp that are wanting to up and up with stipulations in place here in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Here in Pennsylvania, they're trying to set a tentative date of getting everything opened up on May 8th, and then start opening up the state and regions.
So May 8th, that's only a week after Arizona. It's supposed to be the first, but you're saying New Mexico is 3-4 weeks still?
Yeah, the governor's stay-at-home order has been extended to May 15th, and then they're trying to put some stipulations in place for businesses to be open, like sanitation time, but the short term is May 15th, potentially dragging on for another week or two.
Yeah, it's May 4th here in Ohio right now is the tentative date. And he's already told hospitals and stuff they can go ahead and start doing some elective procedures again because they had pretty much cut out all elective surgeries and everything.
Yeah, that's exactly the
through.
thing here too. That got me thinking of that because that's what I think the first poke at the governor was like, hey, let us start doing stuff again. We're not even, we're all sitting here at the hospitals empty, twiddling our thumbs and sending people home. And there's people that want to come in and do their normal stuff. And I think they let that start before the actual, we were supposed to go till the 1st.
Yeah, that's what they're doing here as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's all very much a staged and need-based business, starting up first and then going to the gun shops. Even right now, are in New Mexico are taking based things right now, which is kind of nice.
So my dad's got a bunch of doctor's appointments right now because he just finished his radiation and stuff for throat cancer, and we've been doing just FaceTime is basically the doctors have been calling and talking to him and everything. Basically, since his immune system's down, they're trying not to bring him in, but they still want to make some contact and talk to him and see how he's feeling and everything.
I haven't been watching news as far as the rest of the world. Have they been focusing on that at all? Or has anybody got any input on other countries? Are they still stressed, or are they calming down?
I really haven't followed it too closely on the rest of the world.
Yeah, but
I don't have cable, so I don't have a clue about the rest of the world.
That's where whenever you hear it on the radio, it's all focused like if there's nothing else happening anywhere. They're complaining and they're wrong because of this, and they said this, and they're challenging us on this, and they're wrong because of this. And then I'm like, oh, neither one of you are bringing up the rest of the world anymore. You used to bring up Italy and all these other countries that were hot spots or, whatever points for whichever side. And I've heard less and less of that over the last, maybe this week, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like all you hear now is just the political stuff and why so and so's wrong or what the president did wrong or whatever,
And
Yeah, unhelpful things.
a lot of we wanted this and we didn't do this because of this when they're talking about the allotments of the massive amounts of money and stuff. So as I see some of this stuff starting to be the topics of the news, I got to assume it's because there's not a massive hype from pressure outside the world where we're being oblivious to something. So as they're paying attention to stuff here, it's because it's no need to pay attention to other places. If that's the case, then we're coming out of all this and hopefully it gets back. I'm assuming it's going to get back to normal sooner than later because it wasn't like a hurricane that came in and damaged property or equipment. It's not like we ran out of gas and there was a famine, or it wasn't like heat killed all the food. Everybody just kind of took a knee, like we all got rained out. You don't sweep up, you cut the grass, and you get back to work. Like it's not like the trucks all disappeared. Like everybody's ready to go back to work. Nothing's used up or broke or anything. We just have to all figure out how to do it. And if it's do it a little bit slower than we used to do it, that's not difficult, right? It's super easy to deal with. So I could see it bouncing back really quick. And if anything, all these concern about jobs or whatever, like all I hear is the number of jobs or unemployment numbers and stuff, but never like how many. We got to have a number of how many of those are going to immediately go right back. What should really be the concern is the ones that aren't going to just go right back to work when they say go right back to work, right? Like the ones that have expired or somehow broken or like end or something, like the companies that go out of business or something.
So I work for the government, this local city government, and Dayton owns its own airport. They own the Dayton International Airport, and they've been operating for years as if they didn't have a budget crisis, and then this happened, and so now they're in like complete panic mode, and there's like 122 jobs, and they want to get rid of 57 of them, and basically mismanagement up until now. And then now they're kind of using this as a scapegoat to be like, COVID-19 came in and, that's what cost you guys your jobs, not the fact that we've been dumping money into it for years now, instead of slowly making cuts because it's not the airport that it used to be,
And that has to happen. I mean, all different kinds of stories similar to that, right? But like those kind of things have to be happening, but there's just no reason to think that's like every job or anything. It's not the majority of them. It's not. It's got to be a portion of them.
No.
Some of them. But then whatever that number is, whatever that portion is, there's a portion like, for example, like the masks or the respirators or something that was lacking. Like somebody's going to go, oh, I'm going to make a business that makes masks or whatever, and they're going to hire some people. So there's got to be, again, some kind of more accurate projection of like when you tell everybody to stop for a minute and then tell everybody to go back to it, you're going to ruin some things. Like some jobs are getting ruined and some things aren't going to be able to be replaced. But then they've got to also assume that new stuff's going to happen and new things are going to pop up. And then I think we got some interesting stuff. Plus, I don't know, have you guys seen like the, I don't know, like they'll talk about skyscape, what do they call it? Like when you look at a city, skyscape, whatever the landscape, whatever the skyline, where you can actually see or whatever, like the pollution's less or critters are walking all around. That'll be neat too when everybody starts going back out there and experiencing a world at least a little while before it gets all filthy again. Like everybody will, once they start getting back into gear, like right now the essential people are experiencing the world when it's all cool and empty, but everybody else has got to just hear about it and watch a video once in a while. But once everybody can go back to it and it gets to experience a little bit of a clean world for a minute, hopefully that'll have a lasting echo, a memory.
I'm kind of thinking about all these businesses that are having people work from home now. Are they going to have people go back to their warehouses and call centers and whatnot? Or are they going to say, you know what, we were able to save money hand and fist by having people just work from home. We don't need to have this big building. So then if more people end up working from home after this, what could that do when it comes to people traveling back and forth and commuting for work, and with the CO2 emissions and all that stuff that affects the climate.
Yeah, seriously. And then like the carpooling and
Yeah.
all that, like when it's no rules, like nobody cares, then there's no carpooling. Why would there be any carpooling? But when it's like, yeah, like, hey, I can work from home on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays we meet up at a whatever, or we carpool. Yeah, there's like so many creative things that could come out of it. I agree.
Yeah, there's been a big eye opener, I believe, at my job where we have people. I'm in New Mexico. We have people in South Carolina that are contracted out for engine purposes, and we've realized we don't actually need them to physically come here to get this done. And I think that's going to be an ongoing trend now. I think we're going to cut down on the travel for subcontractors and whatnot. So this might have a semi-positive sort of lasting impact on some of this.
Oh, I really, really think so. When you look at like wars or anything that's a big thing, like earthquake, or not just an earthquake with damage, but like just a thing that happens, like a volcano or a flood or something. All kinds of innovation and creative things come out of it. And this is one that the whole world had to pause and stop. And yeah, can you think of like all the different craziness that I can't even imagine all the stuff that I'm not aware of, that like maybe truck drivers are figuring out when there's no cars on the road. Hey, all of a sudden this is different, and somebody's going to go, oh, I can make a whole industry on that.
Somebody took advantage of the roads being empty and broke the Cannonball Run record.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Really?
Yeah, they broke it by almost an hour or something. It was quite a pretty significant amount, because it was actually brilliant to think about now, because there's hardly anybody on the road. So they smoked the old record.
That is amazing. I never even thought about that. Oh man, I wish I was in a different position. I could have been down doing something. That would have been awesome. I've been loving to be on the roads right now. Can you imagine being on a cross country road trip right now in this last month? Oh my goodness. It would have been amazing. You could have seen New York empty. It would have been like I Am Legend. Could have gone to Chicago, empty. Detroit, empty. You can go anywhere. It's empty. It's amazing. You can see
the videos from Vegas, they're just amazing. So it's just the empty streets, a place that's never empty, 24/7,
Definitely be the time to be doing the gun show report where I don't hit any gun shows ever, but I could be hitting all the different gun shops that are still open. I don't know if I could do it though. Truckers can be on the road. I think the van could. I don't think anybody'd actually question the van. It's one of the nice things about having a nondescript van or whatever. But I bet you it'd be kind of hard to drive around in a camper right now, right? Just vacationing.
I've seen a lot of them out. I've seen tons of campers out. I don't get it, and I've seen a lot of them. Like I work right down the street from a truck stop. It seems like I see campers all the time filling up propane, and they're emptying their sewage tanks. There's still people out in them, I guess.
Well, there are definitely a lot of people that don't live in a house, that live in some kind of vehicle. They have to be somewhere, I suppose. Or if they can't be a place, maybe they have to be moving all the time. Alternatively. Yeah, I definitely think there's lots of potential for stuff, and I can't. And probably hear the media who wants you to come back and listen to their show tomorrow. So, you hear why Nancy Pelosi's wrong, or I'm not complaining about that. It's ridiculous the amount of money they're spending on stuff. But they're spending money like. I don't know. It's not like our grandparents. Like, I don't know who, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's no precedent for the way that they're behaving as representatives right now. And they're doing that in front of, I don't know who they are. They're not my kids, the kids of the millennials or whatever. So they're doing that in front of a generation of kids that aren't stupid and that are completely familiar with how they're trying to be manipulated, or they're attempting to manipulate them. and they're about to take the reins from the boomers for the national election. So, I mean, I know they're screwing around right now, and I'm not saying it's good or nothing. I'm just hoping we see what happened in '94. In '94, you know, when they did the assault weapons ban, they thought they really caught one over on everybody. They thought they really, you know, accomplished something and created safety and, you know, blah, whatever the hell they were thinking. And they were gone. Right? They were completely removed from office, and with a resounding, because of the assault weapons ban, you are no longer representing us, period. And they were all removed. And I'm looking forward to that. And I don't care what the hell letter they got. I just want to see everyone pulled. That whole stunt where they like spent $2.2 trillion without anybody being accountable for it, without anybody having to write their name on the line as a vote. So, well, yeah, we all raised our hand or whatever. I'd like to see the young generation or the new generation of voters hold them responsible for that. That'd be neat. See a whole generation of new representatives be elected based solely on how that criminal act will never take place again, in like all different kinds of creative, responsible, economic ways to end it, whatever craziness comes up in the next couple weeks. Oh, we got the Hawaii out there. All right, so we've been going live for an hour. Unless you guys want to chat about more stuff, we'll look at the orders. I do appreciate. Oh, we've got a whole shit ton of orders actually since we've been live. So thanks to everybody who's been ordering. So I think everything in the last these 4 orders since we've been live. So thanks, Chris, for being a couple of them. Let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Let's see. How am I going to do this? You guys can talk as much as you want. We don't have to start talking and thinking at the same time all the time. I'm not really saying anything to help us out. I'm saying aloha out there. Some places are just eerie empty. I hear that. And I imagine it's actually kind of dangerous probably to be on places that normally you'd have a person driving by once in a while, and that's not happening.
I know for truckers it's been pretty nice. I used to drive trucks, so a few of my buddies, I ask how it's been, and my one buddy, he's been driving up in the Northeast a lot, going through New York, Boston, and things like that, and he says it's just been wonderful. He said hardly any traffic, no BS to worry about. DOT is giving a crap less about trucks right now.
Yeah, because I'm guessing the only time they ever care about trucks is when they're not paying enough attention to the stupid cars driving around. So when there's no cars messing with them, nobody's got any problem with nothing, because trucks they know what they're doing. They don't need any cops to help them.
Yeah, I know due to like the demand for all the things in the store, the Ohio DOT at least relaxed a lot of the regulations on how long you could drive and how heavy your loads can be and all that, because they were just wanting to get things out because they're having trouble keeping stores stocked for a while.
Well, and also there's not enough truck drivers probably to keep with all that craziness, right? Like, when there's
there's not enough truck drivers as it is. Back when I was driving, there was a driver shortage of like 65,000 or something like that. It was a huge number. And I think over the next decade, they believe that driver shortage is going to climb up closer to 100,000 drivers. Then you factor in something like this where wheels are just turning constantly and they still couldn't get the stuff out fast enough. I can't even imagine what the driver demand would have actually been for something like this.
We're just talking like from the driver side of it, but like the whatever you call like warehouse supply, like the people that put the stuff on the trucks and decide where the trucks are going and all that, point them in the directions. Oh, that's going to get so smart after all of this. Like, people that program that stuff, that they sit around, like we sit around thinking about like prepping for like, oh, if bad times happen, what handgun am I going to use? And like, what rifle would I want? What am I going to give my wife or my kids or something? Like those people that program this stuff are like, this is their ultimate situation, right? Like, oh my goodness, now we get to figure out how to reallocate toilet paper distribution through our logarithms. They've been working on this for a month. They didn't already have it worked out. But I'll bet you there's going to be, not just, there'll be need for truck drivers. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think that, they'll just have all kinds of opportunity to figure out how to, I don't know. I was just thinking, like, you got all these trucks driving around. They could have just had a little bit of forethought. Like, what do we need? And then you put like one of these Tupperware thing. What do you call these things? Like a Foot Locker, right? Like a standard size Foot Locker. And you say, leave that's somewhere between the cab and the trailer or something, like leave a place somewhere so that if needed, like trucks could just take the mail or trucks could do something, like trucks could have this amount of space. I don't know. I don't know if like that bumper on the back of trucks that happened after some lawsuit. Some lady smashed in the back of a truck one time. So they all got to put that stupid bumper on the back. There's just these rules that they throw on truckers. Like somebody were to like think about it and go, not maybe put a law. I don't want no law. But if like FedEx or somebody said, or Walmart probably has more trucks on the road than anybody, said, if we just put an empty box on our trucks whenever we needed it, we could, have this whole other like supply infrastructure or something. Because, they could task a robot with shuttling things between those little boxes and, move supplies in a whole different level on top of their own infrastructure. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that, or how drones could affect all this. Like, like what would this have been like if we had the helicopter drones delivering pizzas and shit already, or stuff from Amazon, whatever they're going to deliver. Like, it would have been a whole different situation, right?
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Just being at the hospitals a lot lately, the robots they have at the local hospitals around here, they're pretty amazing. They're just constantly delivering supplies between departments, and they get on the elevator and they go and travel, and they'll say, please get out of the way. And they all have names like Rosie and R2D2 and stuff.
Like, they look like shoe boxes with wheels, like on Battlestar Galactica.
No, they're like L shaped. They look like a big they're like a L shape. They've got a big board on the left side, or that goes up, and then they've got like baskets that hang off of them, and then they can be like, they can show up and the department can pull a basket and stick another basket on, and it's just all day long these things are going back and forth and back and forth.
Oh, kind of like what they got in
and it's actually, yeah, kind of. And actually, the hospital is on two different campuses on either side of the street, and they actually built like a little skyway so the robots can go across the road and everything and travel back and forth.
All right, so HVS is not a stupid bumper if it saves lives. If it looks stupid, it's a stupid bumper. And if they make you create metal and put it on every single truck in the world because of one thing that happened one time, then it doesn't save lives. It just, how many lives ended trying to get those metal into places to get those trucks built? Just like an extra waste of metal.
Let's say they're a big waste. Let's say, because if your truck's missing that bumper, for whatever reason, you might have ripped it off in a dock. Sometimes that happens. The dock lock says that you're unlocked. You got the green light. You go to pull away, and it turned out it didn't unlock you. And now you just ripped off your bumper, and now you got to go get it fixed. If you get caught in the meantime, now you're getting fined, possibly shut down. And again, like you just said, for what? Because somebody wasn't paying attention. Now, I understand that there could be instances where, maybe somebody gets rear-ended themselves and pushed under the truck but what are the odds that that normally happens?
Yeah, and that bumper is going to save them. It's a placebo, or it's a theater. It's like, let's push on them, and somebody said okay. You know what I mean? Like that was the line where any more they would have said no, and it was in whatever. I just don't.
Like,
I found
Yeah,
out
I mean-
about that. I was like, man, that's annoying. Every time I see that bumper now, I'm like, that's just dumb.
Like, why aren't they on school buses?
Wait.
I've seen plenty of photos where cars have run under the backs of school buses, and if that bumper was there, wouldn't be able to happen.
And how often are semis in places where that kind of stuff happens? Like, what about a big 4x4 truck that's just dumb? Just a big oversized truck. Somebody's got money or wins the lottery or just likes big trucks. Like, they don't make them have that, do they? And they're around regular cars all the time. You got to be
No,
doing
most
something right on the
most states will have a bumper height law, though, and if you get the right officer, I've seen where they're out measuring people's bumpers, making sure they're not too far off the ground. But even still, you know, with some of the heights of these bumpers, you could still easily run under them.
It's amazing if you look at all the videos of where cars have got snagged by those bumpers, and depending on where it catches the car at. Like, I saw one where a little Volkswagen Beetle got caught on it had the old metal bumper on the Volkswagen, and it kind of hooked into that bumper, and the trucker drug him forever because he couldn't even see him back there, and had that bumper not been hanging down on the semi, there would have been nothing to get hung on to. It was just weird when he turned. They turned too close together, and it just grabbed it just right.
Yeah, just a little bit of trailer swing. Gonna say, but the whole industry is kind of messed up. I mean, if you think about it, with the hours of service laws, if somebody came to you right now at G Webs and said you need to go to bed and you've got to be in there for 10 hours, and are you tired right now?
Exactly.
It's
Plus, you might be, like on a Thursday, and you got something to do on a Wednesday. Like, you're not allowed to stack stuff up, or like, oh, I want to have my 2 days off and closer together or something, or
yeah, say the hours of service laws. It's written by people that they say, oh, well, we did this study and we think it's going to do this. So, and when I was driving, I think the hours of service laws changed 3 times, and I think about a 6-year period.
well, a lot
Well,
of these,
that led to a large decline in the amount of truckers that you have just in the hour of service laws, because those guys would run so much, and a lot of them could do it safely. There were some accidents here and there, but those guys made their living by delivering loads. They got paid by the load and all this. And then when they made the hour of service, it cut into how much money they could actually make. And so a lot of them got out of the business.
Yep. Let's say you got the e-logs stuff that a lot of guys that ran paper said, I'm not listening to a computer. I don't need a computer to tell me how to do my job. So you had a lot of guys get out of the business there. And then just with the way they keep changing the hours of service, like I said, you get a total of 14 hours to do your work. But once you start that clock, it's ticking. So it's not like you start at 6 a.m. and if you take a break at noon because the shipper's taking forever, that you've got another 8 hours or something like that to play around once they finally start on you again. If they take 6 hours, well, there's 12 hours gone out of your day. You got a whole 2 hours left. So,
well, and it's just like a lot of the the nonsense gun laws, like with the logbook laws. I have a few friends that are truck drivers, and they said if they were to get pulled over and they didn't have their logs in order, they said they're better off to just throw the logbook out the window and take the ticket you get for not having a logbook, than to take the ticket for your logs not being in correct order or being over on time or something.
And another thing that they'd try and do is say I was driving along and I happened to be at the scene of an accident when it happened. I've heard of drivers that DOT would show up because there was an accident, and the only thing that this driver did was witness it. They say, "Well, we want to see your logs." And then I've heard of drivers that were actually charged with accidents that they weren't involved in because DOT went back, picked through their logs, and said, "Well, looking at this, you shouldn't have been here at this time. Either you've been speeding and doing this and that, or you should have been 15 minutes back down the road. And if you weren't here, this might have never happened."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's their whatever, like a participant or something.
Let's say it's kind of crazy the stuff that DOT will grasp at sometimes. And one of the biggest things is that people don't realize is 85% of accidents that involve a semi and as we call them, four-wheelers, 85% of the time it's the driver of the car's fault.
Well, and that doesn't even put it into perspective of like that's just a fact or whatever, right? Like a number, but like of I don't know how to say it, like of the amount of time you got to be on like aware of yourself on the road, like as a regular driver in a car, what maybe like 10%, 12, 20% of the time, if you live in a city, you have to be paying attention and you can just not care. Like you can almost be look at what people do when they're driving. Listen to them doing whatever, farting around. Like at a truck, you gotta constantly be aware of what all these other idiots are doing, be 6 steps ahead, and like it's like playing chess, right? I can't even imagine driving a truck through city all the time. And then, like you say, like sure, it's the car that causes the accident or whatever, but then like how many accidents don't happen because of the abilities of truck drivers, like stopping them all the time, like being aware and not, if a truck drivers were just idiots, we would see way more accidents, period. Like there would just be more accidents. They're able, so then accidents don't happen. And that's something that I guess I'm saying, like, that's the thing that you don't get credit. And that's something that I guess I'm anxious to see what we're going to see at the end of all this too, because I remember, and I guess maybe because of I don't remember why anymore, but I remember, I don't know how old y'all are, but like Convoy and Smoking and the Bandit, like there was a time when truckers were cool. Like truckers were the shit, and people movies were about truckers, songs were about truckers, people dressed like truckers were the shit. And I don't know why. That was like in the 70s or something. HBS would know. He was a middle-aged man back in the 70s, so he'd probably know all about it. But what I'm saying, like there was a time when truckers were like, I don't know if I'm gonna say respected, but they were certainly like everybody was aware of truckers, and nobody, truckers were all over the place. Everybody knew about. You'd do that thing, and truckers would honk their horns and shit. So, you fast forward. When's the last time anybody even thought about them? Unless something happens or some reason, like a movie or something, and not even movies. I mean, unless I can't even imagine the times we've heard about trucks in the last decades. So now there's like an awareness or whatever. Patriots saying over the top. You know what I'm saying? There's like an awareness of not just truckers, I guess, but this infrastructure, and I'm looking forward to what that's gonna give us coming forward, because I don't think anybody's gonna have any respect for politicians coming out of this. I hope we're gonna have disdain and consequences, but who like the media? They didn't do nothing. Stupid movies and shit, they ain't coming out. I guess it's possible everybody will be distracted by that Tiger show, but aside from that Tiger show, it's all been about service people and like how to help doctors and respect people at the stores and to be grateful for the trucks and the supplies, and the people are now aware. Like they act like, oh, they're having to throw away milk. Like that's the first time that's happened. Once people figure out that horrible waste happens, in every level of everything we do. Like literally, like to run a big wealthy country like this, we waste a lot of shit. And all of this is giving everybody time to like slow down and focus on that. We got to have better effect, results out of all this. It's not like we have a country of people that don't give a crap. They care a lot when they know about something. And this has given us an opportunity to know about a whole bunch of stuff.
I did see an article where Publix, the market, was buying a bunch of the milk that was going to get thrown away and some of the food that was going to get thrown away and donating it to like food banks. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, that's the thing. So Chris had got to ditch out, so I don't know if he's still going to hear this or not, but I did figure it out. So we got John has one notch, Randy's got two, Tim has one, the other Tim has one, Chris has got three, Jason, Gary, and Chris have one. So it'll be the other Chris, I'll have one. So I'm going to do it like that. So that'll not just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people. So that way, because a couple of people bought more than one thing today. Thank you very much for that. And you'll get more than one slot. So if he's still around, I'll do a random here. And then he gets whoever wins gets to pick. So he's got 3 odds in there to win.
I bought a T-shirt too, but that probably doesn't show on your end yet.
Oh yeah, I'll throw that in there. So, okay. So that'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 then. Oh, I guess I'll use the Google one. All right, so I guess I'll just screen share this. There we go. And set this to, did I just say 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yes. Oh, I'll do it like this then. Barbecue, so I go from the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
So that way Tiger doesn't jump in here. His name on the last, and I do 12 or whatever. Okay, so 12. Oh, you see what just happened there? So if it would have been regular, he would have just waltzed in here buying a T-shirt at the end and took it away. But instead it went the other way. So that means John, the last person to buy something. Is that the easiest way to say it? The person that bought, I don't know what names are who. I don't like, I'm not pulling no Yankee here and just saying everybody's name. The person that bought the Target set with a Chinese ammo can. Are they out there? Indiana? Can you drop a link to Barbecue's channel? I can if I, on the other side I probably can. So I would know who that is probably. So if John's out there, otherwise I will go ahead and generate again. So that was from the bottom, right? So this time we'll go from the top. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, you just missed it. It is going to be Jason. Who's out there, right? So you can go to bed, Chris. You didn't win nothing. Sorry. Is Jason out here? I see him. I guess not. All right, so I will have to let these people know that they got something. Maybe I'll do them randomly. I guess I'll look at whatever they bought. And if they bought one thing, then I'll give them the other thing. I'll do it like that. And if they bought,
And Patriot, I'll shoot you an email tonight or tomorrow morning.
All right, quit screen sharing. So now I can open up my email this to myself. Never assume that you're going to remember this kind of stuff. I guess I could have watched the show again. DGS. But I just emailed myself with the info, and now I got it in the cloud. Oh, while he's out there trying to act like I'm talking about airplanes, I did see something interesting on the Pima Air Museum is here in Tucson. It's an air museum for airplanes, or museum for airplanes, and there's also the Titan Missile Museum is out here. Titan Missile Museum is out here, where they left the last Titan II missile silo intact as a museum, and they're half an hour, 45 minutes drive from each other, maybe half an hour drive from each other, and it's neat because there's a Titan II missile in the silo, and it's the only Titan II missile that's still intact. All the rest of them, they turned them into rockets and either shot them up into space and shot them down to test things to shoot down missiles, or they shot stuff into space with them, but they basically ruined most of them, I guess. And there was a C-130 that they modified to fly around with one of those things in it. And it was yesterday, I think, was the anniversary of the first flight of that giant C-130. It was like a C-130 where they cut off the front and the back and made it even longer. So it looks like a really weird long C-130 with jets on it instead of props. I thought that was pretty neat. I didn't even know that plane existed, and it's literally right down the street. I could go over there and look at it. But he's saying the SR-71 was replaced with old-fashioned U-2. Blackbird was too fast for monitored sensors and could not linger over the battlefield. So I think he's trying to justify old stuff. Key to the Titan? I've seen the keys. They just look like regular keys, but I'm wondering what they did with the keys. They probably just left them where they were. Unless one of the dudes kept them. It's possible one of the dudes would have kept them. They did leave the silos just empty. They just walked out of them, closed them. Most of the stuff was in them, radios, and so they probably would have left the keys in them. And then when they sold them to people, all that stuff was just in them. I didn't ask anybody. I'd known 4, 5 people that own Titan II silos. Never asked them if they own the keys. C-130s with props are better for gunships. Oh, look at this guy. So we're not having a old-fashioned, which is the better old-fashioned airplane discussion. We did get to give away a couple of those packages. So like I was talking about earlier in the show, I made up a bunch of stickers and stuff, and then took a bunch of the extras and made a couple extra packages. So thanks to the people that bought stuff, everybody's going to get extra stuff. It'll be the blemish. None of these stickers are perfect, but you'll get extras. So hopefully they didn't cost you much at all. I do appreciate the income. It's allowing me to continue doing our thing here. I'm going to have to figure out how to get some kind of a better hard drive. Anybody use an NAS, I think is what they're called, where you have like a little stack of hard drives that just everybody in the house uses to share them? Sometimes people put like a meeting center in there, or it's like basically a home version of your own cloud. You just, whatever files you're going to put in there, you put in there, and you don't have to keep them on your computers. So I think I'm going to go with something like that, or maybe something like a business would use, maybe a little bit more hardcore than a family might use, but something with a bunch of solids, maybe a couple of solid state drives that are designed to just be on all the time and strong. And obviously this doesn't happen very often, but now I'm super gun shy about it. So I want to figure out something and then dig in and start kicking some butt with whatever's next out of this crater. So again, thanks to the people that purchased stuff over at the store. Tomorrow is Saturday. You guys got anything good?
I'm headed to my local gun shop and probably getting rid of my 92 FS and getting 3 break top Smiths.
Good idea to get rid of a 9mm, especially Berettas. So why are you getting 3 brake tops?
Well, I always had a thing for break tops, and I don't know about you guys, but in my area, they don't seem to pop up too often. And when they do, they're not normally operable. And just the fact that I've got 3 kids, when I can, I try and buy my firearms in 3s. That way, when I do pass, and they have to, divide stuff up, if I can make it a little easier by having it be 1, 1, and 1, then it's less that they'll have to worry about. And it's just convenient that he happens to have 3 in stock right now.
Wait, you're telling me we can't take this up to this?
I wish.
You're saying kits though?
No, my kids. Like
Oh.
Rugrats, kiddos.
Okay. No, I thought you, for some reason you said, and I'm like, kind of revolver kit. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So 38s?
2 of them are 32 Smith & Wesson, and 1 is 38 Smith & Wesson. The 38 is actually old lemon squeezer with the grip safety on it.
Oh, they're old then. So that's not so much
Yeah.
30 special as like 38 by powder tender 9mm. Well, not even like old fashioned 38 black powder.
I got one
Yeah,
of the original, the Centennials, the original Airweights, little 38 Centennial hammerless. One of the first 10,000 in production number. I have one of those with the grip safety on it. It's a pretty neat little gun.
Really? It's with the titanium frame or something, or the aluminum frame or something.
Yeah, the aluminum one from the I want to say it's like a 53 model or something like that is when the year they came out, and this is one of the first production ones, the early production at least, low serial
I
number.
didn't know that. I know the J frames were like from the 50s. I didn't realize they made them that light that early. I guess I just assumed that was something from like the 80s or some shit.
No, it's a 53 Airweight. But they call them Centennials, and it's got a grip safety, but you can take the grips off, and it's got where you can pin the grip safety in if you don't want to use it. But I just have it out. I don't carry it or anything. It's more of a safe queen, but I have shot it. It's a neat little gun.
So are you gonna shoot them?
Hopefully, let's say I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to the range tomorrow or not. But if I don't get to shoot them tomorrow after we get them, hopefully within the next week or so.
So I mean, they're in good enough shape. I mean, I'm in Tucson, so when I see stuff like that, it's usually fragile and delicate.
Yeah, let's say that's another reason that I want them so bad is because they're actually operable. A lot of times, if I find any brake tops around here, they're either for parts, just something to hang on the wall, or, like you said, very fragile at this point. But these all 3 of them are in good operating condition.
Did you see Clover's latest video where he did his old brake top and he kind of made some hand loads for it and stuff? That was pretty cool.
No, I missed that. I'll have to go look for it.
Most of the people, well, I guess the people I know who have old ones that shoot them, that's what they do. They make some sort of wimpy load. They don't have to ever worry about it. I don't know if it's so much that the gun needs it or they just do it because they can and there's no reason to stress it, I mean, they're just doing it for the ground. They just want to make sure they don't ever hurt it.
Let's say
I'd say the older Smith revolvers like that would do pretty good, But like I've got an old Damascus barrel 10 gauge that I don't think anything modern than that would be very smart. It's actually a double barrel 10 gauge. It's pretty neat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not a 10, yeah, maybe 28 or something. 410. So 8 people watching, but except for just saying that and Patriot trying to work keys off of that Titan. They got him in Kansas and in Arkansas, but I don't think people got into those with much success. Certainly not into any kind of habitable rooms or anything. Whenever they made them in the other states, from what I understand, as soon as they dug the holes, they had to start pumping water out because the whole silo is underneath the water tables. So as soon as they turned them off, as soon as they, ended their life cycles, they started filling with water. So now they're just big puddles of water underground, 9-story holes of water. All right. Well, with that, luckily I got a bunch of stuff online, so we don't, even though there's a big gap in the hard drive, we can go look at the calendar. Since it's Friday, it's probably a good day to look and see what's going on. It's going to be towards the end of the month. So today was the first shots at Creedmoor. It was supposed to be Gunathon in Virginia. John Crump. He had a show earlier with Cowboy, but I don't wonder if they talked about that. I was listening to other stuff. Patriots Day rally was supposed to be going on in Ohio. Anybody going to go to that one?
Where in Ohio is that?
Oh, probably at the Capitol.
Let's say my biggest issue getting to rallies is just finding a ride. Let's say with how bad my vision is, I can't drive or anything, and trying to find a ride, shoot just to Walmart is like pulling teeth sometimes.
I think pretty much everything's canceled around here because of the rules on gatherings and everything. I don't even think it went down.
Well, no, I'm sure it's canceled. I was just wondering if anybody had plans to go. And that's something that I was really looking forward to because there are so many of them, or there had been so many of them scheduled this year, or there are so many scheduled that are now being changed. What we got to look forward to is I don't know what to call it, like the evolution of a 2A rally, or like the evolution of them. Like, people are going to start figuring out what's missing. For me, I think it's crazy to drive either out here across the state. It takes me 2 hours just to go to Phoenix, and that's kind of halfway across a medium-sized state. It took me 10 hours to drive to New Mexico, the next state over's rally. It would take me, I couldn't even go to California. It would take me like 2 days to drive to California's capital. It takes me a day to drive to LA or San Diego. So if they had some kind of rally in California, it would take me a day. It would take me a day to drive to Vegas, right? So it takes a while to get to these things. If you're going to support a neighbor state, do something else. Have the rally, but then isn't that an opportunity for gun shops and ranges and, I don't know, a pizza place that's pro-gun or miniature golf place that's pro-gun to say, hey, everybody that's going to the rally, come here and network, and we'll have one of these things. I just got done watching Better Call Saul, that TV show about the lawyer in New Mexico, and these lawyers are constantly having like cocktail parties and shit on a weekend, an evening. Like, why don't we have that at these rallies? Why isn't there an opportunity to say, hey, all you people who live in the same state probably care that much that you're going to drive to this place. You probably don't all live across the street. You all came here to gather. You don't know each other, but now you have an opportunity to. Instead, we gather. If that happens, it happens. Obviously it happens with some people, but there's nothing really to encourage it. And then there's definitely no and then here's the follow-up afterwards. Here's the, what would you call it? The meet and greet after. At least the opportunity for something like that. So I'd like to see that kind of stuff evolve, and that's going to happen with as many as we're having and the focus that people have. I mean, even if we've had them in the past, there's never been as much awareness of them.
Yeah, just set up a little mixer afterwards, and everybody can do some networking and everything.
Something.
More networking, the better.
Pro gun restaurants bring food. Pro gun coffee places shut the fuck up and bring their coffee and trying to sell it to us. Pro gun milkshake places bring milkshakes. I don't know, but bring a bunch of pro gun things that are outside the box together. Now a bunch of people are like, "Oh, you guys are pro gun? I didn't even know. Now I'm going to quit drinking that dink coffee over there and start drinking this." Or I'm not going to eat at that restaurant anymore. I'll start eating these bagels, whatever the hell it is. Or again, like if it's a parking lot, how great would it have been in Albuquerque? Did you go to the Albuquerque one? You say you're in New Mexico? Oh no, that was dude who was in here. So the Albuquerque, or not Albuquerque, the Santa Fe 2A rally. I don't know what the hell. Have you ever seen a picture of what Santa Fe, New Mexico looks like? It looks like a freaking old West town, except weird, but kind of mixed with Star Wars or something because everything's all Pueblo looking. But definitely for horses and carriages and going one way, not for cars going two ways. No parking lots, nothing. It's a perfect opportunity for somebody with a car lot or anything that wasn't, they had a parking lot. And then somebody either brought a bus or again in a shop or something, place like golf course or something, bring their golf carts over. Some kind of opportunity to get people there in mass and coordinate. So anyway, I'll quit harping, but I think that's going to evolve. I'm sure it will evolve, especially with the way people are all cooped up right now, reorganizing and planning. Ozzy's saying he hasn't heard of a new date for iGold yet. I haven't heard of new dates for anything yet, but I think that's because, like we were saying before, we don't even have states that have actually definitively said, here's our end date. I think once we see a few states end and we see some media focus on diversity instead of single track, then we'll start some stuff get rescheduled, right? Some, the initial, okay, we're going to do it. And then once somebody does it, some of you be like, okay, we better do it too, because then there'll be a rush to pick all the available dates, right? There's only so many dates left before you run into the stuff that never got canceled, right? I don't know if you were saying something or if that was just Mike Nice.
You were roboting a little bit there.
I was?
Yeah, it seemed like you were, or maybe it's just on my end, but I couldn't hear a lot. It was jumbling for a minute.
It must be barbecue. I thought I heard some Mike Nice. I don't know if you were saying something or.
That might have.
Okay, no worries. So Patriot is saying, do I have a black or an all black Egyptian in good to better condition? Number one, I don't know. Number two, I'm having to think now. Egyptians are all, there is no such thing as a good condition Egyptian. The characteristics of an Egyptian are that it looks crude. They had parts that were given to them, but they didn't assemble them well. So there's glue and they're smeared and they're sloppy. That's what makes an Egyptian. That's how you can tell an Egyptian from a different bayonet. So there is no such thing as a good-looking Egyptian. None of them, they're all strong. They would have never been issued if it didn't work. So like they look bad. It looks like somebody didn't know how to apply glue and got it all over the place on every single one of them. Like it's disgusting. Like I don't know how they would ever have done it like that. Like they never got better at it. It was just a bad application of glue everywhere. But they're super strong. Like I've never seen a broken one or anything. So do I have an all black? They come in black, blue, and what was the other color? Some other color, and I can't remember if it's. I don't remember what the other color was. But is it gray? don't think it was red, but anyway, I never had a blue. Blues cost a shit ton. They're just a offset of black, a bad batch of dye or whatever, like the other blues. Just a inconsistency in the black turned them blue, or they look kind of blue. I never had one like that. They cost more. So all the ones I have are black or the other color, and all my Egyptians are basically the same quality. They all look exactly the same quality. They're all crude. If I stuck all the bayonets together, you'd see the Egyptians are the worst. No, hands down. Every single aspect. The blades look like somebody stuck them in a watermelon for a week for no reason. Just left them there to get all gross. And the cords on them are all gross. Like if somebody just, I'm going to put this bayonet together and then leak a grapefruit on it and just leave it out in the sun or something. They're just gross. There's nothing good about them. But that's what makes them Egyptians. And the best part is they were stuck on a Mahdi, and then those were the first ones imported, and then what's his face was able to take 14 of them or 24 of them, and then make Red Dawn, make them full auto, and then make Red Dawn. Patriots saying that Detroit or that Michigan is until the 15th. I think they were saying about that before. So, and just any black handle going with a good clean blade would be a German. Germans are pristine. It's easy to get a clean German. So yeah, I got a clean German. My only issue would be, I had both quantities of bayonets just to have multiples, because you never know what the differences are until you start looking at 16 of them. And then you figure out, oh snap, there's like 3 different differences that no one ever seen before. And that's the problem, is I have some that maybe I have one that have like a square thing and everybody else's is round, and I just don't remember off the top of my head. So I'm gonna go in there. I had a bunch that I knew were like just, these can be sold. There's nothing unique about these. And I'm pretty sure I've sold through most of those already. But if there's any in there that are what you're looking for, then yeah, you can have it. I just don't have any concept of if there's one in there anymore. There were some in there, but I don't know what's left. I haven't been able to sell them on the store in a while, so they've been kind of just sitting. That's something, though, that will be on the horizon. I guess I'll leave it at that, but something to look forward to. Some efforts in that direction. Well, it was a lot of chatting about bayonets. Patriot. I'm guessing he's going to put something together with the plastic furniture. All right, so I guess we started all that with talking about the Patriots Day in Ohio, which was supposed to be today. It's supposed to be Saturday, so yesterday or tomorrow. And then that would have been tomorrow. It's kind of fun, would have been tomorrow. And the first shot of Creedmoor. So whenever the NRA was created, with a bunch of generals getting around after the Civil War and saying, hey, let's start the NRA. And they said, hey, why don't we do this at a place? So they bought a farm called Creed, and then they called it Creedmoor. I think that was the thing to do at the time. And then that was 1873. Or I guess they bought it in 1871, and then in 1873 it was open, and they started having matches there. So 1873, 200. We've been having rifle matches, shooting. So that'd be a good day to go shooting. So if you go shooting on a Saturday, you'll be like, hey, especially if you go to a match, like all the matches that happen on Saturday, take some kind of a pause and think about how 230 years worth of shooting matches. You think we'd be really freaking good by now? But actually accumulating all that knowledge, ourselves all the time, starting from scratch. I guess we kind of are, though. In some ways, we're really 1870. So then we got Sunday, Marion Hammersborn, lady that started Eddie Eagle, and she was the first president of NRA. And then she turned into Tyrone. Oh, wait, no. First, then she started constitutional carry throughout the whole country. Maybe she turned into a little greedy lady. So we've got heroes and saints. Sometimes they're the same people. So that's interesting, and that's her birthday. And then 95 on Sunday, I guess it was a different day in 95, they ended the restriction on possession of firearms near schools. So they figured out that if you live near a school, you can actually own firearms. It took them, I think, 2 years before they figured that out. After they made it relatively a year. Oh, have I ever seen the Budweiser Farms in St. Louis? They have a fence that's made out of Civil War muskets. I'm pretty sure I have. I'm pretty sure that's the only. There's more than one Budweiser place, right? I think that's the only one I've been to. Because I'm pretty sure I climbed up on one of the horses at that place.
Yeah, Budweiser has places all over the country.
What do I call a bottler, right?
I think so. Like they had one in Baldwinsville, New York, literally right behind the trucking company that I worked for. That was actually kind of neat. Just you see this giant Budweiser sign every time you're pulling into the lot.
With the horses and everything?
No, it's just their standard Budweiser King of Beer sign. Nothing extravagant. Just giant sign on the side of a giant factory.
Well, he's talking about like it's like more like an amusement park, I guess, where like, you know, because they have their horses for parades, so they'll have their horses in like it's not really a zoo, I guess it's kind of like a petting zoo or something. And then like the brewery, I guess it's not bottling, but like the brewery will have like it had a like a tour. You walk down this hall and you get to see everything as they're making the beer, and you come out and you play with the horses, and then I guess you probably had to pay for that.
Now, isn't that like their home base where they started?
Oh, I thought they did that everywhere they bottled, or everywhere they moved it.
No, I've never seen it in Baldwinsville.
Oh, okay. Maybe I don't know. I thought I saw a map because that's why I was like, oh, that's clever because they got the. I don't know, maybe they only do it in so many. Wherever they got the horses, maybe that's where they do it. But you know, they got more horses for the parades and shit. Maybe that was also when I was a little kid. I mean, I'm barely remembering this, so I had to be a little kid. So it might be different nowadays for sure.
So they come to town here every now and again. The Clydesdales do, and my cousin runs the local distribution center. And they actually go in and move a bunch of beer around and clean out a big section of the center every time, and like make temporary stables for the Clydesdales. It's pretty cool.
Oh, like they have a section of their own property where they makes sense.
It's like right inside the building, like the huge warehouse for the beer. They'll just like move a bunch of beer out and just make a big temporary stable. Like the company comes in and builds the stables and takes them down, and they travel with them. The stables do.
There's a couple of different ones I've seen where they're like all inside. They probably don't even go outside. Yeah, the one that you're talking about in St. Louis is also, or at least when I went there, I think it was when they first built that park, or they made it bigger. I don't know. And it's like a wildlife park. You go there and look at wildebeest and I don't know, weird ass shit from Africa or something. You drove around and looked at stuff. All I remember is climbing on a horse. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Those horses are way bigger than a regular horse. Yeah, and then they were giving people free beer. I don't know if it was free. Everybody was drinking beer. But that makes sense. It's a brewery. I went to where did I go to a brewery? Leinenkugel. You ever heard of Leinenkugel beer? I was into St. Paul, and I don't remember what it was. It was like I was supposed to be there Monday, and it was Sunday, or I was supposed to be there Sunday, it was Saturday. I don't remember. But I was a day in front of St. Paul, and that was there. It was like whatever. So I'm like, oh, I'll Leinenkugel before. I'm going to go there. And I was thinking it was going to be like Strange Brew or something cool. But I think I had to go to the bathroom. So I figured if I go there, I could go to the bathroom. But it was like a giant, what's that restaurant? Like a Cracker Barrel? No. Is that the name of that? Is a Cracker Barrel the one you have to walk through a candy store to get into the restaurant?
Yeah, they got like their what they call
Cracker
the
Barrel,
country
yeah.
store.
It was like Cracker. It was like one of them. The whole building was just the gift shop. So it was like a giant gift shop, like the biggest gift shop ever. I thought it was going to be like a restaurant and a ranch or what do you call it, like a hotel or something. And it was just a giant gift shop. Anyway, I forgot what it was. It was, I don't remember. It was money. It was a lot of money. And you got some kind of wristband and they gave you a bunch of beer. And I think I even paid. And then I was like, what am I doing? I don't even like drinking beer. If I go up there and drink them, even if they give you little tiny glasses of beer, I'm going to be drunk because I don't drink ever. So I pay like $30 and then wait around here until I'm not drunk anymore before I can drive. There's no way I could drive drunk. I was like, can I get my money back? She looked at me all funny. And I'm like, I don't really want to just leave $20 here or $30 or whatever it was, but twice about that.
Did they give you your money back?
Yeah, she looked at me all funny. I gave her
nice.
cash, though. Well, all she had to do is take it was $30, I think. It was substantial. I'm not going to leave $30 there. And I think it was because they were going to give me a cup or beer glasses or something. And I figured somebody'd want them, right? They say Leinenkugel. I'm up to give them to somebody from Patreon or something. But like I say, I'm here by myself and I'm literally going to be drunk. Like I won't be able to, at least I won't be able to drive, even if they gave me 2 little tiny glasses of beer. So there's no way I'm going to enjoy this. It would just be like unscheduled waste of time. We ended up going to Tilden Guns, which ended up being one of the cooler gun shops I've ever been to. I would at this point reach over to the pictures and look at the pictures from Tilden Gun Shop. I guess I could look online. That's the one though that had like a giant revolver for a mailbox. And I would admit it was like we'd call them the foothills out here. And it was like the fancy area of, where was I? I don't know the name of that town, wherever Leinenkugel beer. So it was like it used to be farm, and then a bunch of rich people came in and bought the farm, and then turned it into like 16 houses instead of like, one giant huge farm. It was like giant acreage type of lots. And then in the midst of all those kind of giant, they're not mini mansions, they're plain old mansions. In the middle of all that is this little gun shop tucked away. And let's see if I can find pictures of it. We had about the coolest mailbox ever.
So there's a little gun shop in Dayton called Arms Depot, and I was going around when I first started like building my man cave, looking for like decorative pieces or trench art and stuff like that. So I hit pawn shops and I was hitting all the gun shops and trying to get banners and everything. So I go in here and it's just loaded from floor to ceiling where this guy's collected for years and years and years, and he just has the coolest stuff, old uniforms and every kind of little knick-knack and memorabilia and everything. So I'm like, oh man, I'll fill the whole place up with this. And then everything I went to, I was like, well, how much is this? He's like, yeah, I don't want to get rid of that. And then he didn't want to sell anything, but I ended up talking to him for like 3 hours. He was full of great knowledge, but couldn't buy anything. The guy, he wouldn't sell any of it.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of shops. When I first moved out here, it wasn't quite like that. It was, what's the name of that place? I'll think about it. No, I'm not trying to think of it. But he was sort of like that. He wouldn't sell you anything, but he was just a jerk. Like you'd get mad at you for asking. Like, you'd have something in the glass display case. You'd walk in there, in the glass display case would be a thing. And you'd say, can I look at this? And he'd get mad at you. That's not for sale. Nothing had a price on it, so you didn't know. I mean, it wasn't like you picked the obvious display piece. Everything else had a price tag. But some people are just different about being in business, I guess. So I don't know if these pictures do it justice as far as the neighborhood or whatever, but it's kind of gives you an idea of the kind of neighborhood it would be. But this is his garage. What if I get back to where the mailbox was? I guess he had those grenades on the thing. He probably wasn't selling. But this guy just had a regular. It was a pretty decent gun shop, actually, for being in a guy's garage. I mean, look at all them pistols. And if I can get back to that was like the big hang out and play video games and play electric guitar, I guess, area that he had in his store. This was kind of like what we're talking about, except literally everything in there was for sale. He's like, oh no, everything in there is for sale. And great, now I'm not gonna be able to find any pictures of this thing. Just had it up. Anyway, that's the mailbox I was talking about. I thought that was pretty wild for, like I say, being in a pretty classy section of wherever the hell town that was. To have that big old, look at how big it was compared to the van. I mean, that's not that far away. Like it's like is up to my chest or something. That's like a giant revolver.
I've seen the giant revolver that's like a smoker. Like, have you seen that? Like, the guy has it on a trailer and it's like a barbecue smoker. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Yeah,
seen
it's pretty sweet. Some of those smokers that people make are just incredible. Labors of love.
Oh yeah.
I saw one that looked like a steam engine.
Yeah, when you're gonna go to like a picnic or an event and like set it up, everybody's gonna be looking at it, waiting for the food or whatever, but looking at it all day and it's gonna be sitting there, then yeah. I'm nuts. Oh, Chippewa Falls. I guess it's Chippewa Falls.
Yeah, those big.
From that extreme of that gun shop that I went to another one that I ended up in like another little town around here. And this guy had almost zero inventory, but he had like three of the coolest things that I found, like little signs and things. But almost no inventory, but he stays packed because he does $5 transfers, and so like he's just killing the transfer market around here because everybody goes to him because he's like, if I can do $55 transfers as opposed to $35 transfers, he's making he stays pretty busy just doing that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said too for being in business, right? So you're in business doing anything, contracting or accounting, baking or gun shop, and then somebody comes along and they need your service. You can use their service. Like I can imagine having an FFL is super handy. What's the word? Like, even if it's not your full time.
Yeah, I think the guy that was running it actually sold the business recently because he was doing so good with it. Just getting so popular with the $5 transfers that people came in and actually bought the company and bought the rights. Somehow he sold them his FFL and everything, or transferred the name. Maybe they have their own, but he sold the naming rights to it or something like that.
I just noticed we're hitting 2 hour, just about right on the dot. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll call it 2 hours for 2A. I thank you guys for jumping in here. It's definitely better to have people to chat about or chat with, and we kept pretty much about guns. I guess a little bit of the pure virus, a little bit, but yeah. Thanks for the participation and for over at the store. Everybody that bought stuff at the store, thank you for that. Everybody got a bunch of extra stuff going out today, and stay tuned for lots more. Because, like I say, as I'm figuring out how to work that cartridge or whatever, I'll be able to do some more fun stuff. We will be back Monday for sure. Potentially before then, depending on what's going on. Back you up later. Oh, do you guys want to plug anything on the way out?
I've got nothing.
Just thanks for having us, and thanks for everything you do, G.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of just letting you walk out of here on a Friday, why don't you pick something? Not even a plan. What's your favorite? What's a show that doesn't get enough plugs out there? It's a show that's an underdog that doesn't get enough buzz. I'll give it to Rick. He'll be on tomorrow. I'll pick the easy one from you. He'll be on coming up, I think, next. Used to be Caliber Corner. He'll be on Monday. But Rick does 2 shows a week. He doesn't do it for no fame or fortune. He's just doing it because he likes the conversation. And he'll be on tomorrow and about I like when he talks about meat. He's an old butcher and everything. So he starts talking about interesting shit, just like when you guys are talking about trucking and stuff. Having some experience is one thing, but listening to people who know what they're talking about is just interesting. I think we all appreciate learning that kind of stuff. So anyway, Rick's a good person with a lot of experience. He brings different people in. But anyway, any other shows out there? A lot of them, we know the big ones get, all the spotlight. Right, gotta be on the spot. One of you's gonna pick Rich, and then the other one will pick John Crump. He doesn't get enough plugs either. And everybody's been putting stuff on Gunstreamer, so I'm gonna plug Gunstreamer. Go check it out, and encourage the people that you like to put their stuff over on Gunstreamer. I've noticed that a bunch of the piano folk kind of putting stuff on Gunstreamer. At least I don't notice their stuff on Gunstreamer, and it might be because there's so much other stuff. Am I crazy? There's a ton of stuff happening on Gunstreamer now. So I don't think now is the time to ignore Gunstreamer. I think now is the time to keep throwing the stuff in there. So encourage people that might have forgotten about it. That it seems like, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like Gunstreamer is getting a lot more broader. What's the word, like growth or whatever, people adding stuff.
Yeah, maybe just encourage people to do the $2 for 2A like you were talking about, shooting over to Patreon or whatever and donating a few bucks if you can. I just started following Ghost Tactical and Travis on there. They're donating to them, and a few other people that I already did donate to. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. And now that I can print these things, I did print out. I lost the art. Art's gone. So whoever gets these $2 that are going out today, or whatever, these packages that I made up, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll probably have to make a new one for that because that is gone. But yeah, I figured out I can print stuff on the printer, and because that was a frustrating thing. Like I don't really have money to just go have stickers made. Usually they cost 50 cents or $1 a piece. So that adds up really quick. But yeah, being able to make them for way less than that, pretty much. They're shitty. They're not good. But throw stuff out there. I'm digging that. I'm also thinking, just since I'm talking about it, and there's 9 people listening at this point, you can do this. This ain't nothing. I'm just using label paper, and I'm getting a piece of it's shelf paper. It's just adhesive plastic. I mean, there's got to be 6 different ways you can buy that at Walmart or at the grocery store, probably for different things in the stationery aisle or something. But anyway, with those 2 things and a color printer, you could print out your own logos, or you could print out a project logo or image or something, sort of like what Budget did, because he was planning on getting the NRA, doing something what's the word, like finance a set of patches or something, or finance a hat, or maybe it's the way to leverage the next project. If you can turn a couple of $25 worth of stuff into a couple of $100 worth of stuff, then you can start. Now you got patches made. Now you've got, I don't know, different camera or something. So anyway, I'm liking that idea too. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of your printer. So I'm assuming you can get good ink cheap enough, and the stickers don't cost that much. So anyway, I'm digging them in a couple of different ways. So we'll keep playing with that, and it's way faster than doing patches or something like that embroidery machine that I got. Patriot saying thanks for the show, and thanks for staying up. Everybody's at the weirdest hours now. I never know when people are going to be around. So thanks for staying awake. And
that was actually something I did want to plug is Patriot in the dark for the shout out for channels that aren't getting a whole lot of light shined on them or anything. As I mentioned before, I have my own vision loss, and for a while now, I've wanted to try and do my own YouTube channel and just more to help with the Second Amendment fight. And after finding his channel, I was able to contact him, and he was able to give me some insight on some things that he uses to interact with anybody that's leaving comments or emails, how he's editing things, and it just showed me that there is a way that I could actually go about doing it.
Right on. Well, I'll tell you what. If he's still out there, also, and then two things. Assuming he's still out there, three things. Assuming he's still out there, and you guys are both interested, and assuming I still have my files, I think I have all the SHOT Show stuff on a portable drive and on that other, where in the hole on the other drive. But assuming I still have all my files from SHOT Show, I walked around SHOT Show for what seems like a half a day. I don't remember any more of the specifics. I could go look at my notes, but I know I intentionally walked around in the downstairs part that Ghost is always calling the dungeon. It's the downstairs of the main room, and it's a large area, but it's the ceiling is so much smaller than the upstairs or than, I don't know, it's like a parking garage. It's hardly taller than a parking garage, but it seems a lot smaller and whatever. It definitely is noisier. So I don't know if it's good or not. I think we tried playing it a little bit, but if you guys are interested and Patriot's still out there, then potentially instead of me trying to do that as a, what do we call it, try to say like a produced video, where I tried to find the audio files and then play them into my software and then get output that's usable and then post that, and all the time it takes to create that video and edit it and then render it and then schedule it and then wait for you guys to then watch it, I guess listen to it, and then evaluate it in some live show. If you guys are interested, let's get together in a live show and just listen to it live, and then I can turn it up or turn it down. I can adjust it so you can hear it or not, and I can pause it then and we can just listen to it. So instead of it being a presentation that we evaluate after the fact, trying to remember everything, we can Mystery Science Theater 3000 it or something. If you guys are interested and you can both have time at the, I could probably make time for whatever time you guys have time at the same time.
Yeah, I think that sounds cool. Let's say I told him earlier that I would send him an email, so if he's not in here, I'll mention something to him when I email him later.
Yeah, same thing. And, well, my email on websites at gmail.com, so it's easy. But just whatever you guys are doing, and then start a second email with me in it, and whatever, it'd be cool. I think it'd be neat because I do have multiple ones. So if it turns out it works, then maybe we do one, and instead of just listening to it, we listen to it, dissect it a little bit, chat about it, and then do that a couple of times so that there's stuff for people to experience SHOT in a different way, and hopefully let some others know that there's different ways to capture SHOT Show. Give them some creative kick in the ass.
Yeah, let's say I just watched your video from the other day for Lighthouse for the Blind, I believe it was. Let's say I didn't even know they existed. That was awesome.
I knew about them. I mean, who hasn't heard of them, right? But I didn't realize what they were doing. And I knew about my bladder. I got a bladder that Skillscraft or whatever, I think it's Skillcraft makes. And I knew that it was made by Blind. I didn't realize that it was every single one going to the military since 1985. That's for 84 or something like that. That's pretty neat. And then all the shovels. And I don't know how well that video is actually pretty tough to make and put together. But so it's a really highly edited video, even though it probably looks like shit or sounds like shit. It's there's like three things on the table. The big ass stretcher, which is just a big glob of black, because nobody can tell what it is. It's just a stretcher all climbed together. It looks like a weird backpack, or it's like a picnic table put together, like folded up or something. It's got a bladder next to it, just a backpack looking thing, and then a shovel, and then what was the other thing? Like a big bag that Marines would put their backpack into. So something that kind of looks like a big heavy duty garbage bag. And there's just these three things sitting on the table, and then whatever. So yeah, super interesting conversation with them. And I had no idea that I don't think a human even touches a shovel. That's neat. So not only is it completely made by no one sighted even touches a shovel or is aware of the shovel, but I don't know if you jumped out or what's going on, but I don't think a human even touches the shovels, they said. So that's pretty neat.
It's showing me in here twice now. That's weird.
Well, if you got kicked out,
yeah, I lost connection for a second. Yeah, that must have been what it was.
That used to happen on YouTube all the time. Otherwise, I was going to say sometimes people just jump out, like, oh, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette or something. I'm going to jump on my phone, and then they'll just be in here with their computer and their phone. But there's probably just an echo of you. Yeah, see it went away. But that's interesting. So you'd have to, I have to deal with that in El Pato here. You can't, you have to, I had to notice that a second one of you showed up and then invited in here. And then once you're both in here, you're exactly the same. So I wouldn't have known which one to delete.
You have to wait for me to talk.
Yeah. I'm guessing though, Patriot or nothing. I think he's gone. Go ahead.
So do you guys know of any good podcasts or anything? Because I do a lot of walking and I listen to podcasts. And like, so do you know any good like 2A podcasts maybe that I should check out maybe, or something we can plug?
Yeah, I only know 2A podcasts. So the best ones are Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Does a pretty decent job. You know that guy, Riding Shotgun with Charlie?
I've heard of that one, yeah.
So I think he's Charlie Cook. So he's a school teacher, a music teacher, and then goes to places. And then when he's there, he sneaks people away for maybe like 20 minutes, 40 minutes. I think they're only 20-minute conversations. And he does them in a car. And because that's a consistent format in time and all the variables are very consistent, it's pretty to the point. It's not perfect because it's lighthearted and he blabs and it's not down and dirty.
So comedians and cars getting coffee, but 2A style.
100%. I don't know what that show is, but he's mentioned that that's where he got the idea. So yeah, it has to be close to that. That's where he got the idea. So he is 100. He's very pro 2A, but he's also going to fart around and they'll laugh. It's not like super 100% 2A. It's other stuff too, and wherever they're at, if they're at SHOT Show, if they're at NRA, if they're at the Gun Rights Policy, if they're at AMCON, they'll usually talk about whatever, focus on whatever it was, or where they are, if they're in Florida or Massachusetts or something like that. And then often they go somewhere. But at the same time, those aren't 2A, they're insightful to the person's personality or why they're even in 2A or something. So he's got a really good one, and they're all really consistent at like 20 minutes or whatever length. Then it would be Gun Freedom Radio, Gerald Todd and Dan Todd out of Arizona, and that they're good because you're going to find out who the 2A people are, but they only have people. Well, they're changing, but they used to only have people on for like 10 or 15 minutes at the most. So you got to know who the people are, but you didn't really get that much time with them. But then listening to the Gun Freedom Radio podcast is useful because then you get to listen. When they were doing it a different format, you'd get to listen to maybe 6 or 8 interviews in a show, sometimes 5 or 6 interviews often. So even if somebody was bad, it didn't matter because they were about to be off the show anyway. If they were good, it was frustrating because they were about to be off the show. But because they just kept shuffling through people, you got to really experience a lot of people. And then just like with Charlie, if you like that person, then just go find more interviews with them, and somebody will talk to them for like an hour, like I used to do. So that's why I figured my show was where my niche was. Like somebody else would just talk to them and figure out who they are, and then I'd give them an hour to talk about themselves or their project or whatever. But Gun Freedom Radio and Riding Shotgun with Charlie. If you just seriously care about 2A and you don't care about today's 2A, then James Kalita. I don't know how to spell that shit. Go listen. Just type it. It's Out of Order with James Kalita. Just type it in here. These are old, but he's like Riding Shotgun with Charlie without all the wasting time laughing about everything. He just was like, okay, here's a 2A person, start talking about your thing. And then he would just shut up and let the person talk for 2 minutes.
Straight and to the point.
Yeah. So those are the best to listen to, just because you just listen to the person, a 2A person talk for 20 minutes. I found those to be really interesting, especially if you're doing something and you're working on a project, you just want to hear something, you're driving or something, you just want to hear something. You're not listening, you're not trying to entertain yourself or past 6 hours or something. You just want to have something to listen to. For me, that's what
Yeah, like I like to throw on a podcast, take the dog for a walk or something. That's how I usually listen to most of my stuff.
It's not like a book or something like, oh crap, I missed what happened in chapter 2 because the frog jumped by. More attention to that frog. I don't want to get or something, and then I don't know what happened in the story, and I got to try to rewind it or something.
Yeah.
I'd rather just listen to some podcasts. I'll just listen to it again. It's not like it's critical. Just listen to them talk about whatever 2A thing they're doing. But now I'm hearing about 2A shit. I haven't listened to all of them though. There's definitely some others on the I don't even know what the platforms are called, but like the platforms that people use their phones instead of computers. I don't even know what the platforms are. There's at least 2. So whenever you find out what those platforms are, then there might be ways to figure out, like searching those for gun topics or gun.
Yeah, I use one called Podbean, and usually it's got pretty much anything you search for is usually on there because they kind of pull from all the other podcast sites. And I had pretty good luck finding stuff on it.
I would call that an aggregate, I think. Like it's like you say, it pulls from all the existing feeds that are out there. The one I'm thinking of is that one that Brandon used. I thought you were going to say it, and then that made me think of it. I lost it again. It had a weird name, but it was more of like it was like 15 minutes or 10 minutes at the beginning, and it was only a phone app. It was sort of like the Instagram of podcasting things. Clover's out there, he'd know. What's that one that Brandon used to use that was on his phone? And it would, at first, they were only like 10-minute. Anchor. There was this one called Anchor, and there's like the new versions of Anchor now. So I bet you if you went to, I know that like Trenchwork, he uses one of those. Tony uses something that's like on a phone. I'll bet you the girls are using, all the girls that are in DC Project. I think I'm old enough to call them girls. I'll bet you they're all using phone things. I know that the real girls, the youngest of the 2A podcasters that are female, they use phone things. Now they'll probably take their Anchor or their phone thing and podcast and what do you call it out to a Podbean, like an aggregate. Spotify, iHeartRadio, those are all aggregates. They pull feeds in and package them up and put them in front of their subscribers, fancy or in a format that they're familiar with. I just use a free thing that comes off the server, and it doesn't cost me squat to host my podcast. I'm not trying to do anything super strong with it, so I don't know. It hasn't been tested, I guess, but it feeds out to wherever. I don't remember. I don't really pay that much attention to it, but I don't know how comparable they are. But it is possible to get it out there. So that means you could do it with Night Strikes, Gun Tubes, or whatever he's calling I forgot what he calls his two-way hosting. But anyway, we were talking about which ones to listen to that are Pro 2A, and I guess I was suggesting go into some of the apps to see if you could search. Now, I guess I haven't even been paying attention, but iTunes is not iTunes anymore. So back in the day, go to iTunes. Like somebody would say to you, go to iTunes. They might as well have said, hey, go fuck yourself. Because that meant you had to go find iTunes somewhere and download it onto your device. So that meant like shove it on your phone, which doesn't have enough room for anything. Now shove stupid iTunes on it. Or put it on your computer, which doesn't need anything like iTunes on it. And then you're going to put a TSR, a terminate state running program, on your computer. It's called iTunes. Might as well be a virus. You're going to put that on your computer just so that you can go access the podcast. It bothered the hell out of me. It's one of the reasons I don't like iTunes. So if it's something like that where you're like, hey, go to iTunes, where you're really saying, hey, go do this complicated shit and put a burden on your hardware so that you can access the stuff, then I'd have a problem. But I don't know if those phone ones are like that. If they make you download the app in order to even browse, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible that there's something worth listening to on something like that. There certainly was on iTunes. There certainly would be on Podbean, right? Or on iHeartRadio, because everything is on those. But if it's like Anchor, I don't know. Is it worth downloading and putting Anchor on your phone to find out if there's 2A podcasts on it? I just don't know if there are.
A lot of the podcasts I used to listen to have like moved to where I don't know if Spotify pays them to just come to them specifically now, because Podbean used to pull them, and now they're all their stuff's moved to Spotify. So I kind of quit listening to them because I didn't want to have the two different things, and I'm just so used to Podbean that I'm like attached to it almost.
Well, that's definitely a thing. So Garrett dropped $4. Thank you for that. Do appreciate it. I'll leave it up on screen there. So I could see it because that's sort of what Clover and them were talking about yesterday, I think. If you're going to put your podcast out to everywhere because you want to reach everybody, then you're putting it out to everywhere to try to reach everybody. So no specific people are ever going to feel like you're giving it to them. You're always giving it to everybody. If that makes sense. So I don't know the best analogy for that. But then I think the opposite of that would be if you put your podcast on Podbean, period, or like, I'm going to put this on gunstreamer.com, period. That's it. I'm going to put this on guntube.org and not on YouTube, right? I'm only going to put it over here. Then you're pulling people over to your place. So I could see somebody who makes a decision, I'm just going to use Podbean so that they can just say Podbean, period, for whatever their reason is, right? Whatever their strategy is. Because I don't know, I never say, hey, listen to the Daily Gun Show on iTunes. I forget, I just don't think that way. So if somebody was like, hey, let's deliberately get everybody to just go to Podbean, or I'm sick of saying iTunes, however the decision got made, maybe it was something like that, like just to, what's the word, like streamline shit. So in other words, like as a player, so you can go over saying he can, with Apple Podcasts, he can put a link on his website that'll work with any browser without an app. So like an old, I don't remember what they were called, but basically a way you can put a little play button. You click the play button and it just starts playing your podcast as if you had a file on your hard drive or something. And then you click pause and it pauses it or whatever. But you don't have to do anything more than click the button on the website. You don't have to download or anything and do like that. Yeah, they almost always give you a player for that, a little plug-in piece of code that lets you listen. I don't know where we're getting into that. That's more like a feature characteristic type of thing. We were kind of talking. The question was, what are some 2A podcasts? And I think I was, after I had mentioned a couple, suggesting go into those phone apps in case they had a way to browse or whatever. So is it called Apple Podcasts now? I'm guessing if you go to Apple Podcasts, you can browse there, but the question would be, would you have to install Apple Podcasts, or is that like going to applepodcast.com and you're just interfacing like a website? Or is it you have to install the app in order to browse, the shows or whatever?
I think most of the iPhones now come with that Apple Podcast already on them, with the app on them, and you can delete it, I think. But
But yeah,
I
would
just
imagine that. But I'm talking.
I like the.
Well, you use an iPhone.
I just like the way that Podbean is laid out. It's real easy to use and user friendly. So it's the reason I've always been a fan of it. What's the name of your podcast, Clover? While you're out there,
Clovers would probably be Clover Tap.
that's what I was guessing. Just making sure.
But I don't know. I'm totally assuming he might call the individual podcast the name of the podcast, like Firearms Friday or something.
Or Gun Toting
He's
Leprechaun. You never know.
I'm sure he's on all of them though. Like his whatever his wherever he records it from, it's being distributed to almost all the platforms. So I'm sure he already said he's on Podbean. So we'll hear this eventually and he'll tell you. Anyways, as far as like how to get a list or how to get suggestions on who's 2A, who's doing 2A shows, that was the original question. And back in the when I would go to iTunes, like I say, you'd have to install and then run stupid iTunes software to be able to see what was on iTunes podcasts before they separated it, I guess. And I would just go in there and search for gun or search for firearm. I never bothered searching for 2A because this was years ago, and that's just, I don't even think you'd search for 2A today. It isn't a well-known enough thing outside of the gun community. So I think the best thing you could do is search for gun or firearm, and then whatever's going to show up there. But then how to know which ones of those are 2A versus just gun type of stuff? I would say just I call it a 2A audit. Just go through their shows, If they're like they used to be, it would just be like a big list of their different shows. See what the topics are, the subjects are. If it's all like, this, and that, then that's what their channel is about. But if it's, every 3 shows is an interview with somebody, or every 3 shows is some sort of a different thing, that then that's what their show's about, or their podcast is about. But that takes a heck of a lot of investigative work, I guess.
Yeah, and plenty of time for that, so I'll just check some out. But I'm definitely going to check out the 3 that you. I think I have listened to the riding shotgun one before. I'm pretty sure I have, now that you say it was, there's some comedy and stuff in. I'm pretty sure I've listened to that one.
You'll know
check the other 2 out.
Here, he's a music teacher or whatever, so he's got a theme, I guess. It's distinctive. Otherwise, there's definitely a whole nother realm of channels that will, touch 2A, or that, or 2A when necessary, or I don't know what to call it, like, aren't only 2A, but are 2A. And then I think what Clover's saying also is there's some that don't ever bother, but those you can tell because they don't ever talk about it or whatever. They'll never talk about it. They'll just talk about whatever they're talking about. Just like somebody who talks about snowmobiles isn't going to talk about 2A. Probably. But with that being said, there's you use Instagrams where you're talking walk-in. Is it like you got internet or no? Like a Wi-Fi on your phone, or is it you got internet when you're walking around?
Yeah, I've got the unlimited data or whatever, and then I use the Wi-Fi at home, and I've got a laptop, but I do 90% of my stuff, or probably 99% of everything, off my phone.
mean, I don't know if it would be a podcast, but there are people that do all their stuff on Instagram. So, I never do it. I don't like it. But you could go to those circles at the top of Instagram, and I think it's just all the same. Like if you click on somebody, if you go to your Instagram, you see those circles at the top, and then you click on one of them. Half the time it's a picture, and half the other time it's a video or something. And then when it's a video,
Yeah, that's like their story or whatever.
yeah, I don't understand it completely because I guess I don't pay attention to it enough. But you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's a quick video, and then sometimes it's like an hour or whatever. And there's people.
Yeah, but they just breaks it down into sections. Like,
oh no, I'm not talking about those circles at the very top where you click on somebody will be live, and that's what I was going to say. Is like people will be live. They'll insist on doing a live show on their phone, and then when after it's live, I think it stays up there for 24 hours if they don't put it somewhere else or do something else with it. But then, like I was going to say, there's there's KD, Stilettos, Clover doesn't really do that. He talks like he does his show. He doesn't do interviews on Instagram, so I don't think. But there are a couple of people that on a regular basis do a 2A show on Instagram. Like that's the way they think the internet works, and they use the internet that way. So you could just either listen to them live if it's coincidental to your if it happens with your walk, or that stays up there for 24 hours. So you could hit those things. But again, I don't know if that works for you, because for me, I don't see how it would work. You'd have to put your phone in your pocket, and every time you touched it, it would pause or bump off of it to something else. I think I'd rather listen to the radio.
Yeah, that's the cool part about the podcast is you can start one of those and then lock your phone or whatever. And I usually wear I've got a Maxpedition fanny pack type thing that I put it on, and it's got my phone clip on it, and then I clip my dog leash through it, and so I hands free. I don't hold the dog leash; he's connected to my fanny pack, and we just kind of go like that.
And then you've got 4G downloader, I think it's called. It's been a while since I downloaded it or used it, but downloaded it. But 4K downloader. So that's a piece of software that you put on your computer, and it's just a piece of software you put on your computer and for free. And then you go to a video on YouTube and you take the video and you poke it at that software, and it'll pull the video or the audio. So what I'll do is, let me a show like this, where we're at 2 hours and 38 minutes. So if you're going to walk for 2 hours, you could download the audio only, not the whole thing, but waste your time, but just the audio, and then listen to that audio as you're walking around. So that's not necessarily a podcast, but you get the equivalent. You could go to a channel that does interviews, or just find somebody you want to hear interviews of and download, a 20-minute interview with them, a 40-minute lecture, another 30-minute interview, and then, an audio book on tape that they wrote. And what's the word? Is it authored? What do they call it when you do the voice acting on an audio tape? It's getting late. But you know what I mean? You could find stuff off of YouTube.
Narrate. I think you're going for narrate.
Yeah. You could do something like that. I've done that before. When somebody will say, hey, here's a good whatever, something like a phrase or a thing to watch, a quick video, I'll be like, oh, that was really good. And then I'll go find a TED Talk that they did, or sometimes you can't get their audio book, but they'll do a 2-hour talk at a school about their audio or about their book. So even a book that doesn't have an audio book, like there is no audio book of it yet, you can get as much or even more out of it because you can listen to them talk about it for an hour and then have an hour's worth of questions from people who just read the book. And that's the kind of stuff that I'll listen to when I'm walking, because especially if I download it as an audio file and then put it on my phone or my MP3 player or something, start walking around, I see a butterfly or a little frog and I get distracted and I'm, what happened now? And then I go back to the thing. All I got to do is rewind and then figure out how I remember where I'm at and get back into it. Compared to, well, I guess podcasts are the same way. they're not really. This is the only thing you have to compare that to. If it was live, you'd have to miss a piece of it or something. If you're paying attention to a butterfly. What he's talking about. Well, I'm saying that you might want to, if you want to see it live on Instagram, you got to know when. And that's one of the reasons I don't like it. Is just you know when it's on Instagram because you have to be on Instagram and the little thing will light up and tell you that they're live. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't run Instagram alerts. Maybe there is a way to have it tell you ahead of time, but that would even be more invasive. But anyway, you have to be there for the live part, but
Yeah.
it's on there for 24 hours. So I'm just saying if he misses the live part, let's say the live part is in the evening and he's walking in the morning. If the live thing is on Thursday, on Friday morning, he could listen to it on Instagram once. You know, well, you can rewind it or whatever, but you know what I mean. As soon as it's a day later, it would drop off of Instagram and he wouldn't be able to watch it anymore.
Yeah, the YouTube notifications are the only reason I know stuff's on half the time anyways, because I forget when things are scheduled. And, you know, especially right now, you got people doing extra chats and everything, like Yankees doing one pretty much every day. So, like, I get the little notification, you know, NEA will be live in 30 minutes or whatever, so it reminds me. So that's kind of nice on that. You don't get that on Instagram at all now.
Well, at 40 minutes ago, approximately, I was like, all right, well, we're going to end this right at the 2-hour mark for 2A. Now I notice that the essentials are waking up. The East Coast essentials are starting to wake up. It's kind of like having the flyover states. Like as soon as the essentials start listening to your show, it's time to start wrapping it up. They're like the essentials are like the equivalent of the flyover states. There are flyover listeners. Like, oh, I guess it's legal for them to listen to our show.
It's 2:57 where I'm at, so I've been here for a while. I'm on the East Coast time.
Yep.
Well, yeah, when I start the show, it's up getting every once in a while. I can tell when Black Cat shows up. Let's see. Oh, you're talking about. I was thinking of the time. So now you're saying the 24-hour like inspiration thing on Instagram. I'll put on, well, that's what I'm saying. But most people, I don't think, at least I don't pay attention. But I don't think people are taking it from Instagram and shoving it over to YouTube so that it exists. I think they're doing it on Instagram, and they think that works, and then they goodbye. It's never there again. Right? I think you can put your live show into those other circles that you were talking about, middle circles that are above your squares, but they're below your address. And I think you can do that, right? You can take a live 1-hour show and jam into one of those, and then it's always, you know, I've done it with pictures. I don't know if you can do it with videos. Yeah, see, this is weird to have not only a bunch of people up, but up 3 hours into this show. Because this show, I don't usually get people in the beginning of this show. Oh, you know what happened? Whoever was corking me probably ended. This is the typical end of a cork. The end of a cork spillover. Not the sloppy seconds, because these are people that spilled over from some other corking. This is like the frothy.
People that were watching Matt play Call of Duty or something.
They're like, oh, my foot's so swole up, I'm not even going to get up. I'm just laying here on the couch. I guess I'm watching whatever.
Maybe they can't sleep and they're just using us to lull them to sleep.
So now I gotta act like we weren't chatting up all these truckers and everything, all these people that are essential at the beginning of the show. But if you listen to the beginning of the show, we give you a bunch of fluffy, good feelings. Act like we care about your plight. Never know it was essential until a couple weeks ago. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, though. And hopefully we'll see a different the different end of this. Everybody's always like, oh, blah, 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 the new blah, blah, blah. What are they saying? The new, what do they say? I'm getting like, I'm not saying the way it is, but like everyone's assuming that everything's going to be different or whatever going forward as everything starts to open up in the world. I'm hoping to see, or I'm enthusiastic that we're going to see. I'm tired. I am. What's the word? Yep, it's super late, so I can't even think of what yeah, I can't think of it. I'm thinking of too many other words. Anyway, I'm hoping to see that we'll see people appreciate the infrastructure, period. Like not just the people, the infrastructure itself, the products and the process. And we're aware. We just don't. We're not idiots. We don't have to be aware of everything all the time. So when we need to be aware of stuff, we become aware of it and we put focus on it and we deal with it, as a group and as individuals in all different ways. I'm really thinking we come out of this with an appreciation of each other and the roles that we all play in the big picture in a whole different way. I'm personally, I'm hopefully not going to offend anybody. I don't like the way doctors act snooty all the time, like they figured out something everybody else can't figure out or something. Like, they're playing a role, but the pilot's just one guy. He's not doing anything that special. If there's not mechanics or people pumping gas, that pilot ain't doing his job. So I've always been a fan of everybody pitching in or whatever. So I'm looking forward to what it's going to look like with months now without any kind of Hollywood actor having any influence on anything, period. Like, that's awesome. Think of the environment, the societies and the environment of the society, just the freedom we've had from some of the continual hype that we usually get. Anyway, so I don't know, getting loopy and getting tired, but I didn't want Black Cat to think I was really talking shit about essentials. I appreciate that dude for joining in, but also everybody who's out there doing their things so that most of the people ain't doing shit. And they ain't got to. Let's see. Last trying to save them an ID. There was a 10-minute. I had to break them all down. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. And maybe that's why some people, I don't know what they're thinking, but you go to their circles and you click on them, and there's like 1,000 little 3-minute video clips that all come together somehow to make a video. I can't tell if people are just using different apps to record stuff or if they all got a different purpose that they're doing with them. Yeah, well, I'd much rather. I wouldn't mind having a show. I'm telling you right now, it's comfortable. In the middle of the day, it's already gross. It's about to get horrible here. So I'd much rather be up right now doing a show, a live show in the middle of the night. Get a bunch of truckers and overnight people to be on a live show, talk about guns. This shit right there.
And so that's how I ended up starting to find all these gun channels like you, Yankee, Matt, Clover Tack. Was I just needed stuff to listen to while I was driving. So what I'd literally do is turn on autoplay on YouTube, throw my phone in the cubby and have it hooked up to an auxiliary cord, and I just listen to gun stuff going down the road the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully that's what we'll see too, right? Because now Clover's saying Hollywood and sports and all that distract. So I've definitely always been advocate of that or whatever. Agree with that. But when you don't have any sports happening, you don't have any movies being made, or at least they're not putting them out the movie theaters, so they're not sending them out. I think is what Matt said. So in other words, if one was supposed to come out, they're holding it. So that means, is that same thing happening to the TV? I guess I don't know. But all that stuff's not there, then people are finding other things to pay attention to. And if you never looked for nothing like a podcast before, and and now all of a sudden you got a reason to look for a podcast. Why would you expect all those people are going to go back to the first? Like a whole bunch of them are going to stay with the podcast, right? At least some of them are going to stay with the podcast. And I think that's how you get change, is when a couple of people start doing something different.
Yeah, you figure even if you only get 1%, say you reach 1,000 more people because of this, and you only get 1% of that, well, that's 10 people. And if those 10 people eventually spread the word to somebody else, they can start to, grow exponentially for you.
Well, I don't feel that tired because I drank one of them Starbucks triple thingies today, but I probably did it in a bad way. I drank like a third of it early, and then a third of it at some point, and then a third of it probably 3 hours ago, whenever we started this show. So I kind of distributed it out throughout the whole day. So I'm not tired, but I can tell I'm like forgetting words and I'm getting all loopy here. So I'm going to go ahead and end it, even though there are a bunch of people listening. But thanks for joining in. Thanks again for participating in the your website's extravaganza today, all the new stickers and whatnot. For the people that jumped in and haven't been listening that are running channels, I just used a couple of materials, some adhesive label paper, basically, and then some, what to call it, some plastic cling film, stuff that you just buy somewhere and stick it on top of there. And you can make these stickers fairly easily. Create something for your channel, use that to parlay up to something bigger, or hats or shirts or masks now, I guess. Tiger, you could have something going there with some sort of tiger mask. Clover could have some sort of a clover mask thing going. Black cat. This would be inappropriate in 3 different ways. Black cat to have a mask, but Garrett could probably have a mask. Moo could have a mask, I guess. Trucker, I guess you could have a mask. Nobody else is out there. So anyway, I'm thinking the sticker thing might be a thing for people to use, sort of like what Budget did, and to are trying to get to NRA with the sticker thing. Because I don't really think I don't care when I get a sticker that it's going to last forever on my bumper. I don't stick them on my bumper. I don't care if they're UV, like the ones I get from Alan Acre that I know can stick on a bumper. I don't always have to do that. Anyway, so I've been pretty satisfied with what that little printer can do. Anyway, with all that being said, again, thanks for joining us. We'll be back on Monday. Next up is Rick. That would be a thing. Just everybody say what's next. So next up that I'm aware of is Rick, coming up with Rick's Life as I See It, Saturday, I think at 3 p.m. Eastern. I can't sell the Mr. Peanut sticker. I can give you a Mr. Peanut sticker if you buy something, but it's not legal to sell you. All right, well, I will talk to you guys there.